Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match. The last round of the Rugby Championship. It is now do or die for these two sides. New Zealand, they want to finish out the Bledisloe on a high. The highest that they can finish in the Rugby Championship competition is second. Whereas for Australia, the way that the table currently sits, they are playing for pride. They cannot move away from that fourth position, but they've gone with a couple changes compared to what they had last week. We've got to remember only 3 points separating the two sides in Australia, and Wellington is not exactly the fortress that Eden Park is for the All Blacks. Of their last 7 games in Wellington, they have only won 1, and that was back in 2018 up against the French. So this game is on for young and old. There is a good chance that we could see a close one. New Zealand have gone with a huge amount of experience. They want to shore up this team a little bit more. Scott Robertson not going experimental, making sure he puts what he feels is the best side out there on the field. And for New Zealand, it is Ethan de Groot, Cody Taylor, and Tyrell Lomax. They have had a lot of minutes throughout this Rugby Championship. Some expected to see a change or two here, rotation of the squad, but that is not the case. They have stuck with those same 3 front rowers. Ethan de Groot, he just recently came back from the neck injury. He is now going to be playing up against Tupou once again, only getting himself 40 minutes last week in match number 1. Scott Barrett at number 4. He's got a lot to prove, to be honest, because at the moment, Tupou, who is at 5, I believe is the surefire thing in the locking duo. The captain is not. He has to make sure he steps up here, because if he doesn't, Patrick Tuipulotu, he will be coming off the bench and he will want to make that real impact for the ABs later on. Wallace Atiti at number 6. He is an electrifying player in that loose forward trio. One of those guys that, if it wasn't for the Ethan Blackadder injury, perhaps we wouldn't have seen Wallace Atiti. So hopefully he can once again step up and have a great game here. Number 7, Sam Cane for his 100th game, his last one on New Zealand soil. There is a lot on the line for that man. He wants to finish on a high in New Zealand, and that's the thing. He's had a very long career for the ABs. He's had a lot of ups, he's had a lot of downs, he's had captaincy, he's had no captaincy, he's had injuries, but he still managed to get to 100, which is massively impressive. Number 8, Artie Savia to close out that AB's forward pack in the 9-10 combination. This is a throwback for this ground. It's going to be the combination of TJ Perenara and Beauden Barrett, back to the old school Hurricanes days. But they are, of course, a lot older now. TJ, this might be his last game in New Zealand. Anton Leonard-Brown and Rieko Ioane in the midfield. That is due to the injury that we saw of Geordie Barrett. Caleb Clark out on the left wing. Sevu Reece out on the right. And then Will Jordan at number 15. So matching what they went with in Bledisloe Cup match number 1. In the chat, we have got there, let's get it, Kiwi Lads. So looking forward to commentary on the rugby. We have got Kiwi Lads, or Hamish Kelder says, stay hunky, welcome in, come on Australia. This is the AB's game to lose, says Prof. And hope Kane has a great game and come on New Zealand, says Mark, Tim, and Matt. And there as well. They have got Kieran Reid at the moment in the commentary box. Of course, when you talk about players who have had quite a bit of experience up against the Australians, that man certainly comes to mind. They're going to be looking at Cody Taylor next by the looks of it. Coming up after that's Beauden Barrett, and then later Sam Cane. I think that might be the interviews, but the last 3 matches for the Australians, they have had some ups and downs. They were able to pull off the last-minute victory over Argentina in Argentina. Then they had that game that they lost by 40, and then they almost beat the All Blacks last week by losing by the 3 points. Go, boys. A lot of faith in you, says Francis. I'm watching from the UK. Let's go the Kiwis, says TRM. So nice early morning start for you in the UK. I do appreciate you being here for this match. Looking through at the Australian starting lineup. In the front row, it is Angus Bell, Matt Faisler, and Taniela Tupou, the Tongan Thor. The big man that hasn't really lit the world on fire, I'll be honest, in the starting lineup for the Australians. He's a great impact player off the bench. I wonder whether or not Alan Alaratoa would have been the better option here, but they have decided to stick with it. It looks like a really dark and dingy day in Wellington, I'll be honest. I hope that is just because it is starting to get towards the evening and that the weather is not going to play factor in this contest. Nick Frost, Jeremy Williams is the locking duo. They are the same 2 that they did have last week. Rob Bellatini, Fraser McWright, and Harry Wilson. Now, McWright and Wilson both really stood up throughout that first match. McWright scoring a try, Harry Wilson putting in some massive hits. But I think Rob Bellatini was the man out of everyone in that loose forward trio that didn't really once again, light the world on fire. He needs a massive game here because the Wallabies have to bring physicality. And Rob Valentini's work in the breakdown is normally very strong. So I'd like to see him get it in there, get a couple turnovers, get the ball back in the hands of the Australians. But in the 9-10 combination, it is Jake Gordon taking in the role of Nick White, who is nowhere to be seen in this 23-man side, although I do see him just warming up next to the goalposts in the background. Of course, there could still be late changes that we don't know about, but Noah Lolesio, he will be at 10. Hunter Paisami and Len Ikitau in the midfield, with Dylan Peach out on the left wing, Andrew Callaway out on the right, and then Tom Wright at number 15. He had some brilliant numbers throughout that first match up against New Zealand, although he did also have a few defensive errors. But then saying that, I think that game between New Zealand and Australia last week was the perfect example of one mistake can cost you a try. It almost reminded me a little bit of the Rugby Sevens because, missed tackle, Australia score. That was the one of Sam Cane around the side of the breakdown. We actually see Geordie Barrett there talking to Sonny Bill Williams, but his knee is in a heavy brace, and we are still awaiting to work out how long he is going to be out for, which means for someone like an Anton Linnett-Brown, this is a great opportunity to cement yourself in that starting lineup heading into the November internationals. Of course, Barrett, he still has about 4 weeks to be able to recover, and they seem to think it was going to be anywhere between 1 and I think it was 10 weeks for the Geordie Barrett injury. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. They're sold out, says Jack. It is sold out from the sounds of it, although there are still a few empty seats at the moment, of course, but the cake tin, as it used to be known, will be filling up nicely as we get closer to the kickoff. Thank you for listening to me. Bowden Barrett is at 10, says Oswald. And I will watch this, then wait for the Argentine or the America's Cup, and if I'm still awake, the South Africa versus Argentina game, says Trajan. Daylight saving tonight, remember all, says Heaney. Yeah, it's very confusing because we were originally going to be doing a game between the Bulls and Edinburgh for the URC, but unfortunately, with daylight saving, it means that those games between the Bulls and this Edinburgh and Springboks Argentina is actually very close together. So in the end, I think we're going to do a big build-up for South Africa, Argentina, and then just have that little bit of a gap where we talk about what's happening in the URC by 20 points, says Jorge there. And good morning from me to all of yous. Now in with the Dogs, daylight coming on fast, bit nippy on the old nudger here in the sticks in K. I hope this is tight one. Runaway scores, bore me Poulis. There we go, some expert analysis from Kerno Wick. Hope you are doing well, mate. Australia can win in the last 20 if they can keep up with the score in the first half. Wouldn't that be something? Says Albert. I mean, that's the thing. The All Blacks have been, I don't want to say exposed, but they've certainly exposed a little bit of a weakness in that last 20 minutes because it is 5 games in a row that New Zealand have been unable to score a singular point in the last 20 of a game. That is 100 minutes in which normally before this period of time, the All Blacks are at their most dangerous. They're normally scoring try after try. They haven't been able to do it here. So they want to finish it strong, and it's going to come down to that bench, whether or not we're going to see maybe that bit of an impact. But then saying that, they've got David Havili, a man who's been completely out of form all throughout 2023 and 2024. So you wonder whether or not that's going to be the difference maker. And Kiwi Lads getting any breaks for the vocals today, says Lillian. Not a huge amount. We have got, we got a little bit of time. We've got 10 hours worth of commentary that we will be doing today. We've got this first game. Then at 10:45 p.m. New Zealand time, we are doing the Lions versus Ulster in the URC, followed by the game between South Africa and Argentina. And then later on, we'll either be doing the Stormers versus Ospreys or Conard versus the Sharks. But I haven't really decided in terms of that last live stream as of yet. Saturday morning, listen to start the workday. Says Caitlin, well, welcome in. Hope you are enjoying your morning so far. It's going to be a long day with the amount of streams that we got, so hopefully your work goes by extremely quickly. How's it, Hamish and Kiwis? Hope you guys break the Welly curse tonight. Says Justin, and Reese on the wing. Ioane still at 13. I'd have put Satiti at 8, says Kerno Wick. And also we have got there, our Razor start looking for a new job, says NZ Guy. And hi from Germany, back in the Kiwis today, says Ta. And at the moment, they are just showing the team lists. Just making sure there's no late changes for either of these sides. Jake Gordon gets a chance to start, though, in this game after not starting or not even coming off the bench. And the last one, Hamish, you will be doing the Stormers game. Says Grant, that one's still up for debate, Grant. It depends on who wants what. But I feel like as a Stormers supporter yourself, of course, you would be picking that one. And Damien Valimza returning for the Stormers, which is going to be pretty awesome. Is there a little bit of rain in the background in Wellington? They were in the dugouts in the glass area. What's the weather like in Welly? I'm actually going to get Siri to tell me. She will be able to help me out. What's the weather like in Wellington? Also, anyone who's judging, this is an iPhone 6S, and it hardly works, but it is my current phone. 13 degrees, chance of rain 10%. It's looking all right. It's looking like it's going to be a decent evening for a bit of rugby, which is great news, because sometimes in Wellington, the wind could be going from right to left at 1,000 miles an hour, and, it gets pretty tricky. Holding my breath for the Box game, says Hillary there. And also, we have got we old school Cornish farmer boys get up at 5:30 a.m. I was milking cows at age 13 every school day. And so it continued for some years. Country boys were kicked up in those days, 1960s. I was about to ask, when are we upgrading? The thing is, it needs an upgrade, right? Because you can't see it, really. Well, you can kind of see it. There's a bit of wear and tear. Pretty much on the screen, there's like, okay, no, you can't really see it. See that glitch? Hang on. Sorry, I'm trying to fix it. There we go. There's like no, you can't see it. It's like glitched halfway down the screen. It still works. It's got like good storage, but the battery dies every like hour if you're not fully on charge. Good condition, says Big Boy Games. Will McKenzie come on as first five or fullback? Says Jack. I think that he will more than likely go to 10, and then Bowden Barrett will drop to 15, and maybe Jordan goes out to the wing. The problem that the All Blacks have, though, is because they've got so many versatile players, or at least players that they have made versatile, it means that there are a lot of gaps that could open up in that defensive line in the last 20 minutes. Looking for Satiti to kick on. What a player, says Big Boy Games. He is an absolute athlete. Wallace Satiti, he's one of those players that will definitely have a bright future if he avoids injuries. Clark or Jordan, 2 tries tonight, says Reeves. Well, it's interesting, though, because Will Jordan doesn't score as often at fullback as he does at number 14, but he did score last week. Hey, are they playing this game on Sky Open? I'm not too sure. I know it's on Sky Sport 1, and it might even be on Sky Sport 2 as well. But, yeah, I don't know if it's on Sky Open, unfortunately. And 8:13 a.m. here in South Africa. Yeah, so a big day ahead for you guys. Looking forward to watching the Springboks. New Zealand's win rate by city. Wellington, they only win 69% of the time. 77% in Christchurch. In Hamilton, it's 94%. In Auckland, it's 86%. So it's actually quite interesting that Hamilton, in some regards, is more of a fortress, you could say, than Eden Park. Just off the percentages. Can't update to the latest software. Best look at upgrading. I trust the professional in this, says Caitlin there. Yeah, I think I couldn't do iOS updates for a pretty long time. I can't even get the McDonald's app because it says your phone's too old. And that's kind of hurtful to the heart, when it's saying you can't even get a Macca's app to get you a free cheeseburger. Be there for an offload. I should get him should get him the second. Says Reeves, I appreciate your great channel and commentary, Hamish, says Gina, thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. Or it might be Gina, actually, sorry for mispronouncing it. Stan Sport, Channel 92, says Choke the Woke. And he looked good with the ball last week, says Reeves there as well. And the All Blacks must nail this one, otherwise the New Zealand public will be on a Prozac next week. And that's the thing, like some people are already not happy with the selections that we've seen throughout this rugby championship. They're saying maybe they could have rotated the side more. They could have given other players opportunities. But, it's going to be interesting to see what they do in November. And also how many of these guys that haven't had many minutes that are going to be missing now from the November internationals. Are we even going to see Billy Proctor travel with the squad to November international games? Because he hasn't really been given the shot here. So you wonder, is he even in Scott Robertson's plans moving forward? The fact that David Havili came in, are we going to see a different 13 in the November internationals? There's a lot of questions about what is going to happen. But one thing's for sure, New Zealand have not performed in the Rugby Championship to the level that some would have anticipated. They have won 2 games, they have lost 3. They lost to Argentina in the opening game, 38 points to 30. They were then able to pull off a massive win over the Argentines the week after, 42 points to 10. Some people are feeling like that might be the trend that we see a little bit later on when South Africa take on Los Pumas. They lost 2 games up against the South Africans in South Africa, although, like I said at the time, yes, losing 2 in a row is not ideal, but losing 2 in a row to the current world champions on their home soil and losing both of them by less than 7 is not exactly the worst result ever. I feel like if those games, maybe they were separated by 15, or maybe New Zealand really didn't show up for those contests, it would be a different story. But because it was so close, I feel like it's one of those ones that could have gone either way. New Zealand, they just have to face the fact that, they couldn't quite get the job done on the occasion. But the next game up against the Australians, they almost blew. It almost turned into a massive Wallabies comeback because they were down by about 20 in the early stages of the match, and then New Zealand just allowed them to slowly get back into the contest and just continue to score those last minute tries. But looking through at the Aussies, they have also not had the Rugby Championship competition that they would have been after 2 losses to South Africa. See, if those were the margins that New Zealand suffered, I think there would have been a lot more concern. They beat Argentina in a last-minute thriller. Imagine if Argentina had held on in that game, by the way. Looking at how the competition is now, rather than Argentina getting 1 point in that game, they would have got an extra 3. Now, remember that, because we're going to look at the table in a very short moment. But then they were beaten by the Argentines by 40 points, and then New Zealand pulling off that win by 3 in the last game. So that brings the table to look like this. So Argentina could have been on 17 points if they had just held on that little bit longer. But then you could also argue, South Africa could have already won the Rugby Championship if they had had 1 more point up against the Argentines. So, of course, you can look at little things throughout this Rugby Championship, but overall, it's been pretty competitive and actually a lot closer than I think some people did anticipate. But looking through, D-Mac, hell no, man, he's sucking and screwing up. Says, choke the work, Hamish's big suit game on the up. Says, big boy games, give Razor time. Says, Neil, and good for Sam Kane getting his ton-up cap. But debatable as to whether he ought to be the squad base on current form. But all the same, good on you, Sam Kane. No one can ever say you weren't hard. Says Kerno Wick. And that last game flustered Australia because New Zealand chucked away 2 to 3 tries, plus had a disallowed try. That was a try, says Trajan. And Sam's last game, it'll be his last game on New Zealand soil. But it's one of those ones, he will probably still be in the squad for the November Internationals. Same with a few of these other guys. The likes of TJ Perenara, this is also going to be his last game in New Zealand, but he is going to Japan. So I would argue that with that, they probably should take a different halfback into the November Internationals. Maybe a Cam Roigard. He is almost returning from his injury. It's going to be, or I'm going for the All Blacks, but have a bet for Australia to win just in case it pays through. Says Petty, hello, says Bite, welcome in, mate. South Africa will win by 30. Get in. Says Bhavani, is it overcast? It's a little bit overcast. It's also evening at the moment, or getting closer to evening. Daylight saving happening today, so it doesn't quite look like this. There are a few more patches where there aren't clouds, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Are you still G3 or 4? Am I still G3 or 4? What is that? Do let me know. I was wrong last week, but you're going down in this contest. Kiwi says, you old shagger. And also, I want our Australian peeps to win. I feel for them. They have taken enough L's already, says Tiny Mon. And Go the Wallabies, says Fair Grove Freestyles. And no Diddy Mac at 10. He's the best 10 around, says NZ Guy. Morning Hamish, All Blacks to win. But I hope Aussies put up a good fight. Do you reckon there is a chance of an upset? There certainly is. Definitely in Wellington. New Zealand have only won 1 of their last 7 games at this stadium. And that is quite impressive. Because, up against the Australians, their last 5 in Wellington, they've won 4, drawn 1. So up against Australia, they're good in Wellington. But other than that, up against anyone else, they seem to really struggle. Watched All Blacks play British and Irish Lions back in 1977. Southend screaming southerly. We like a little bit of wind. There's Dan. How many minutes left? Kickoff for the All Blacks versus Australia. I believe we're sitting around 45 minutes away from the kickoff. So it is still relatively far away, but we have still got stats to look through in terms of these two sides, the key performers throughout the Rugby Championship. It looks like they are interviewing Beauden Barrett at the moment, talking about Beauden Barrett and TJ Perenara as the 90 combination, like the old school days of the Hurricanes. Good morning, says Tanya. Welcome in. What's up, Hamish? After a long time, says Cody. Welcome back, mate. Hope you have been keeping well. It sucks how money takes our players away from New Zealand rugby, says Choke the Woke. I mean, it probably does a little bit, but also at the same time, it doesn't really suck for those players who are getting a whole heap of money overseas. Like, it's one of those ones that, like, of course, they'd love to all be able to stay in New Zealand. But you also have to remember that with players leaving is when we're seeing these new young guys coming through the ranks, because if we still had all the best players overseas playing in the Bunnings NPC, playing in Super Rugby, you wouldn't get that opportunity to see those next guys doing well. Look at someone like the Hurricanes, for instance, right? If they still had TJ Perenara like maybe 1 or 2 years ago, how do we even know if Cam Roigard would have gotten the opportunity? If the Chiefs still had Brad Weber, would Cortez Aratama have even been a name that people know at the moment? So, like, there's positives and negatives, but we've got to remember when those players go overseas, the next door opens for the next young talent to make their way through for those respective sides. What the hell, says NZ Guy? And G3, us Kiwis just need to be patient as team gathers momentum and optimum selection. Rugby World Cup is years away. Says Heaney, how long until the game starts? About 40-something minutes from this one. Any way to watch the game for free? I'm from Romania. Have you got a VPN, Victor? If you got a VPN, you could look at the option of 9 in Australia. Is a great way of watching it. So you're saying we're going to lose this one, says NZ Guy. I didn't say that. I predicted the All Blacks to win by 10 in my preview. I'm just saying that in terms of Wellington's record, it's not the best up against other sides, but it's actually pretty decent up against Australia. They've won 4 of their last 5, and the other game was a draw. We have got there, Shane Proctor has been overlooked. Crusaders bias is alive and well, says Big Boy Games, and I wish Lau Mape played a few more years in the black jersey. And no Barrett is 10, says Choke the Woke, and Richie Moong are back for the next World Cup, unless an obvious new first 5 emerges, says Steve. And I mean, we're talking about Damien McKenzie just before. He's going to France in the near future for a sabbatical. So, you know, is that we were going to see someone like a Harry Plummer burst onto the scene, one of the standout players from Super Rugby Pacific. We have good there. How did you rate All Blacks' performance versus Wallabies? It was a close match, says Coding. It was a very close game. And Australia, honestly, with the way that they came back from conceding a couple early tries, I think Australia almost deserved to win that game. New Zealand just seemed to be too comfortable taking their foot off the gas at the end of a game at the moment. And, you know, it's almost been costing them multiple times in a row. But looking through, I think I've still got it somewhere in terms of who was able to score those tries last week, and a little bit of the, there we go. That is the, I guess you could say, the time frame. And the, what's it called? I was going to say the map, but I can't think of the word. It's pretty much the time thing that happened last week. It's going to annoy me that I can't think of the word. I'm sure someone will let me know. But for Australia, they scored 2 tries in that first half, which well and truly kept them in the game. And then they scored 2 late tries. Paisami and Tom Wright, those were both scored within the window where New Zealand cannot score points. Jordan, Ioane and Clark and Savia all having the tries for New Zealand within the first 25 minutes. Then from there, the only points they got in the second half was a 3-pointer from Damien McKenzie, and no one at the time would have predicted that was going to be what won them the game. Those extra 3 that they ended up taking in the end. But it's going to be interesting to see whether or not that is the trend that continues in this game, because if Australia can shore up their defence just a little bit more and go out there firing in the second half, and New Zealand can't counter that, you know, it's going to be a very interesting situation. But what we will quickly do is we will clear those and we will put them to non-applicable at the moment, as there have been no tries scored in this yet, mainly because the match has not started. There we go. But it's going to be interesting. Is Harry Plummer on the bench? He is not. No, he hasn't been given the opportunity. Time stance says coding. That is the one. And gift card for you for the something, says Foster. And also we have got the Swear Razor made them focus on defence only for the last 20 just to prove a point or something, says Reeves. That's a really strange mindset though. If that is what Scott Robertson did it for, saying, look boys, we don't want to score any more tries. I just want to see you defend for 20 minutes. Let's see if you lose the game. That doesn't sound like something that a coach would ever admit to doing, because that's the kind of thing that gets them sacked. We have got there Would like to see Harry Plummer and hit the like button. And love your commentary, my bro, says Blake Cooking. Is there a typical Wellington hurricane or fog tonight, says your old Chia? It looks like a decent evening, to be fair. 13 degrees at the moment. By the time we're at kickoff, it's probably going to be about 11 or 12. But, you know, overall, it's not going to be a terrible day in Wellington, but it could be, depending on the result at the end of this contest. Love to be the underdog in this championship, says Gonzalo, and tuning in from Alaska, says Michael Bailey, so welcome in. And Alaska's on my bucket list, says Sakabola, and AB's not won in Welly since 2018, and that was up against the French, believe it or not. Hello, Hamish. Hope you're well. AB's by 15 in 2018. WTF, says Choke the Woke. Yeah, that was their only win in their last 7 in Wellington. They lost to Argentina most recently. The game before that, they drew up against the Australians. It would be fitting for both teams if this ended in a draw based on current form for both, says JW Learning, and sounds like politics. Not taking the new blood first, says Tar. And when did Australia last beat the All Blacks, says Paddy Markle. I believe the All Blacks are on about an 8-match winning streak up against the Australians. I'll just quickly make sure I have that correct, though, before I start saying random stats. What do we got? We'll go round 6. We'll go here. I think it's 8 in a row. It's about to load. The Wi-Fi always goes slow when you want a stat right in front of you. New Zealand have only lost one of their last 13 matches against Australia. Won their last 8 meetings in a row. Yep. So, you know, that's pretty impressive. But the fact that Australia have been so close so many times in a row is, you know, it's promising. But, of course, people normally only look at results, don't they? They don't like looking at close games. You can play for or with the Eagles, Blake. Says Choke the Woke. And we have got there, everyone loves a random stat, says chat. They certainly do. Lolesio versus Bodum doesn't seem fair, says Mark Kiwi. I mean, on paper, very different players. But until we see them in action, who knows? Maybe Bodum Barrett has a shocking game at number 10. We've got to remember the last time he played 10, I believe, was actually off the bench up against the English. Other than that, he's been playing more number 15. And to be honest, he hasn't been playing it too badly. It's a bold switch, and yes, he's got fly half up his sleeve, but is there going to be a little bit of rust for Bodum Barrett in that number 10 jersey? Just showing there, Sam Kane, he's had 78 wins throughout his time in his 99 matches. Do you think Razor in trouble because they called waning? Says Donovan Hartle. I mean, for all we know, though, it could have been Razor who made those calls. Like, it's one of those interesting situations how there's always going to be speculation about what's going on behind the scenes. We saw that in the case of Leon McDonald, how when he left, people started saying rumours about, there's a big fight going on between them. But, you know, sometimes different coaches just don't work together. Unfortunately, what time does the New Zealand-Australia game start, says Volta? It will be starting in around 30 minutes' time, so we aren't too far away from the kickoff. And there's one thought on the Pumas' chances tonight. I think they'll throw everything at the box, says JW Learning. It will be interesting because they've made a lot of changes, the Argentines. They've actually made some drastic switches in that loose forward trio due to the Crema injury. They've got Santiago Rondona as the number 7. They've got Juan Matan Gonzalez at 6 rather than Pablo Matera, who will be making his way off the bench, making a change in their locking duo, bringing in Thomas Lavanini. And then also in that back line, little bit of a reshuffle with Rodrigo Isgro, as well as bringing in Santiago Herreras at number 15. So, you know, those are some pretty bold switches. They've gone with the youngster at number 9, Garcia. Looks like they are interviewing random people in the stands at the moment, talking about whether or not the ABs are going to get the job done. And it seems like the word on the street, or at least the confidence I've seen, is that New Zealand are going to win this game. But it's an interesting one. Because Australia, could you argue Australia have learnt more from this rugby championship than New Zealand? In terms of who their selections are going to be moving forward. New Zealand, for me, have been a little bit safe, I think you could say. Because the fact that we haven't seen Billy Proctor at all throughout this rugby championship, like at all. The last game he played was in Fiji. Or in the USA, up against the Fijians, I should say. But like, there's a safety about it. Noah Hotham, a player who we saw brought in. We have got there, give us live game instead of listening to you. because you know nothing about rugby, says Ready One. And there as well, more like Needy One, am I right? I just wish Scott would stop playing players out of position, says Mark Kiwi. I agree. I feel like eventually I'd like to see those players start to shift back to where they first were. Kickoff time, 6:30 at the moment, so we've got about 34 minutes or so until the kickoff of this contest. To people who want to ask about the Puma Bot game, there will be a chat after that game, 1 hour before the game starts. We have got there, this game is about ABs versus the Wallabies, says Heaney there. And we have got there, I wish Scott would play. Oh no, I read that one, didn't I? I leave the stream if you don't enjoy this commentary. It's great for my liking and watching from Australia. Stan Sport team are on the ground, including Andrew Mertens. I can't read that one, VG man, I don't think. And when do you think Razor is going to let the young guys have a go and change it up? I want to think it would be the game up against... I want to think it's up against Japan. But at the same time, I just don't know if they will, because they've got a big game next week after that. And in fact, we've got the schedule here. Ladies and gentlemen, one moment. We'll go like that. We'll go like that. There we go. They've got England the week after. So I don't know whether or not you can afford to not give some of your main guys minutes in that Japanese game, because you've got England, then you've got Ireland, then you've got France. There are no easy games out of those three. Definitely with them all being away from home. So New Zealand are going to have to be on their A game. And that's why I think there is a little bit of, I guess, nervousness around New Zealand about who are the selections going to be, because they can't play the same team in all of those games in a row, or else there will be injuries. Players won't quite be able to handle it. Yes, they are professional athletes, but there will be physicality on point all throughout those three matches. So, that Japanese game, I think if it was at the end of the Rugby Championship, at the end of the November International, similar to the Italy game, I think we're going to see an experimental side up against the Italians. New Zealand, they would have done the hard work in those first fixtures, and now they get a bit of a rest, but they can't, once again, underestimate the Italians. People have done it before, and people have lost games up against Italy. So, yeah, it's going to be very intriguing to see what type of selections we see in November compared to what we've seen throughout the Rugby Championship. Morning, Hemi. Are you with our Bok today? Keep well. We are certainly going to be doing that one on the channel. To anyone who is new, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We've also got 2 games of the URC that we are going to be covering on the channel as well. I bet Hamish is wearing boxes, love hearts on them, says Iron Giant fam. Not quite. I've got pants on this week, which sounds like I don't normally, but I do. But they're just long pants this time. Possibly 3 losses on that tour, says JW Learning. If they don't get the selection right, I 100% agree. I think that the Northern Hemisphere sides are going to be really, really fired up and want to prove something up against the Southern Hemisphere teams. I want to watch all the Rugby Championship game on YouTube. I use Wi-Fi, says Elliot. Unfortunately, there are very limited options to be able to watch the game on YouTube. Most of the streams get taken down pretty much instantly by Stan Sport or Sanzar, so you might be very lucky if you can find a stream that doesn't get taken down, but more than likely they will. Let's just say no one had an RG loss on their list, says Mr. All-In, and Sleepers for the Week, says Chad. We're certainly going to find that out by the end of today. We're going to be up all night doing the commentary, and Big Boy Pants today, says Caitlin. Exactly right. I remember back in 2009, they kept running the same players for a whole year. It was 2010. When they started to rotate. This ain't new. Says Red7 and maybe under scoreboard put times. You will be commentating on the games to avoid people constantly asking. Says Heaney. Yeah, although we normally, I've tried using that bottom thing going across in terms of also having something saying we won't be showing the game, but I found that when you put it there, they actually ask more questions about it, if that makes sense. Because the likes of if I had all the games we're doing, then people normally will ask, why aren't you doing that one? And then that actually is almost more than just people asking what time the game are. Plus, it also depends on what time zone you're in, because we've got daylight saving a little bit later on, and that's going to confuse a lot of New Zealanders, including myself, because we were going to be doing the Bulls Edinburgh game, and then from there, because of the daylight saving here, we're skipping forward an hour. We're time traveling here in New Zealand, very innovative, but it means that I can't actually do that game anymore because it's going to overlap with my build-up of Springboks versus Argentina. Thanks anyway, Hamish. I enjoy your commentary, says Volta. Thank you very much. Is there a direct correlation between stupid haircuts and the ABs losing? Says Fluffy. I don't think so, because there was a while ago where every player with a mullet for the All Blacks was scoring tries. Don't worry, Hamish. We have your core audience here, says Sakabula. But yeah, it was, if you had a mullet, you were going to score for the All Blacks. That was in like 2021, I think it was, just after lockdown, where everyone had some extremely interesting haircuts. They are just showing the head-to-head between Harry Wilson and Ardie Savia. Both men have played every minute of the Rugby Championship. 16 defenders beaten for Savia, 4 for Harry Wilson. And that is quite a surprising one, because Harry Wilson is normally up there in terms of the defenders beaten throughout Super Rugby Pacific for the Reds, or at least he was up till his injury. Looking through at the lineup, though, for New Zealand, for anyone wondering who the ABs have put out there on the field. Now, they have only made the 3 changes in their starting lineup. The forward pack is identical. Ethan de Groot, Cody Taylor, and Tyrell Lomax. All 3 men getting some decent minutes, with the exception of de Groot, who is recently coming back in and will now be working his way towards a full, I'd say, 60-minute performance from Ethan de Groot would be pretty strong here. Tomaiti Williams, unleash him in the last 20 or so. Scott Barrett, he needs a big game here. And it's going to be interesting to see whether or not he can do it, because the pressure has been on him throughout this whole Rugby Championship. Definitely with that captaincy, the C next to his name. It's going to be one of those games that I don't think it changes the captaincy for the November internationals, but for Barrett in particular, having a good game on New Zealand soil to end the Rugby Championship is exactly what he needs. Tupou, he had a bit of an injury last week, but he is all right. The shoulder is fine, and he is going to be playing in this contest once again. Wallace Satiti at number 6, one of the standout players, I believe, for New Zealand in terms of the young and up-and-coming talent that the ABs have got. Sam Cane at number 7 for his 100th game, and Ardie Savia slotting in as the number 8. TJ Perenara alongside Beauden Barrett, the 9-10 combo for the Hurricanes way back in the day. In fact, that would be an interesting stat, ladies and gents, and let's see if anyone knows. When was the last game that the starting combination for the Hurricanes was TJ Perenara and Beauden Barrett? Because it's been quite some time. Let's see if anyone knows. They are just showing there the upcoming games that are taking place. Italy versus the All Blacks will be the last one of the November internationals. Before then, they've got 4 other games, including a match up against the French, the Irish, and the English, and then Japan to kick it all off. But in the 12 and 13 combo, we see Anton Lienert-Brown take on that 12 jersey. That is due to the injury of Jordie Barrett. Now, it is not confirmed the extent of Barrett's injury as of yet, but there is a big chance that he could be missing the November internationals, which is why someone like a Lienert-Brown wants to step up here. I predicted that they'll go with David Havili, just because I feel like he is definitely a razor guy, but instead, he's going to be coming off the bench in this game. Rieko Ioane, he is there at number 13. He has slowly found his form, although some thought maybe this would be the opportunity to give the hometown guy a chance, and Billy Proctor. Caleb Clark out on the left wing. Sevu Reece is out on the right, and then Will Jordan slotting in at number 15, the same back 3 as they had last week when there were the late changes due to Beauden Barrett being unwell. But looking through at the chat once again, we are getting closer and closer to the kickoff of this game, ladies and gentlemen. We have got there in the chat. Thanks anyway, Hamish. I enjoy your commentary, says Volta. Is it daylight savings in New Zealand? Not quite, but at 2 a.m. we are going forward an hour. So, yeah, it's a bit confusing, but pretty much the game that is kicking off at 5 p.m. for you guys in South Africa is now going to be kicking off at 4 a.m. for us here in New Zealand. But normally we're a little bit different. We're normally 2 hours separate, or 10 hours separate, I should say. Hamish, you're a star, pure natural talent. Says Mark Kiwi. Thank you very much, mate. Greatly appreciated. And what time do you sleep if you're doing South Africa versus Argentina? That's the thing. I don't normally on the weekends. I normally get to sleep on Sunday night or Sunday afternoon. So that'll be the plan. Here again, will the Springboks eventually go to the Six Nations? It's a great question. It's one that's been debated a lot. And, you know, it would be a different look for the rugby landscape if it did happen. It's still a wee way away if it does, though. Is the Springbok playing today? They certainly are. They are playing at 4 a.m. New Zealand time or 5 p.m. local time for South Africa. And that is going to be up against the Argentines for their final game of the Rugby Championship. You're doing a great job. Thank you for streaming and commenting. Nor the haters' comments. Or the hate comments, says Lillian. Thank you very much. Good evening, Kiwi Lads. What time are we on? We are only 25 minutes away from the kickoff. For real, too much disrespect on this bloody app, says Blake Cooking. in there. If you don't score in the last 20 minutes again, I don't know what to say. Says JW. Will Mani Libbok start today for the Box? Hope he has his kicking boots on today. He will be starting as the number 10. Fly half coming off the bench will be Andre Pollard, unless he's going to be playing inside centre. We have got there. Good morning, Hamish. Says Springbok Replay Zone. Welcome in, mate. Hope you are keeping well. Where are the Kiwis? Too many South Africans in the chat. Says Henny. I feel like a lot of the Kiwis will be either at the game, seeing as it is sold out in Wellington, or they are just awaiting to see what kind of happens first before getting fully invested. But normally a lot of the Kiwis are watching the Sky build up anyway, and then they pop in once the match starts. Kiwi here says Ta. And which team to look out for today? Says Stream. I mean, Australia will want redemption because they're one of those sides that in the past they've been extremely close to beating New Zealand. And last week is the perfect example of that. New Zealand, after 25 minutes, did not score another try throughout their game. That is 55 minutes of tryless time for New Zealand. And then the last 20 minutes, they weren't able to score a single point. In fact, you could almost say the last 30 minutes almost in that game. But it's going to be the big difference. Will the players off the bench be able to change it this week? Is David Havili somehow the All Blacks X factor that no one knew that they needed, no one knew that they wanted, but somehow might actually be the thing that helps them in the right direction? I don't think anyone was predicting that at the start of 2024. What time are you going to start your braai? Says Chad. I probably wouldn't have time to cook one in between live streams, unfortunately, but at some stage in the future, maybe we'll have to try and find a random braai in the area and fire it up. ABs by 20 plus, says Mark Kiwi. Kia ora, says Tar there. And kia ora, so excited to see Barrett at 10 again, says NZ Alex. Yeah, it's been a long time since he's had consistent minutes as the starting 10. But the thing is, with Damien McKenzie going on a sabbatical to France, there's opportunities there. At the moment, it's just the fact that so far for the All Blacks, we haven't really seen them change. They're just showing some David Havili highlights from back in 2015. And yes, he's been a handy player at times, but it's whether or not he can really get it going in this game off the bench. Look, not mad, just disappointed. And New Zealand will collectively go into shock. If the ABs lose, the island will sink, says Sakabula. And yeah, that last 20 minutes is down to the captain, eh? I think you're right, the pressure is on Scotty B, says Mark Kiwi. And we'll be excited to see if the ABs manage a peel-off or to peel off a mini-bomb squad today, says Springbok Replay Zone. And looking through at the benches, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think we've brushed over them just as of yet for New Zealand. It will be Asafa Moa, Tamaiti Williams, and Pasilio Tosi there as the number 18. I hope that they give him a little bit more game time in this contest, mainly because he is a really talented prop, but he's not really getting many opportunities to scrummage because they only bring him on with about 10 or 15 minutes to go. Patrick Tuipulotu back in the side after his injury. He did play for Auckland in the Bunnings NPC not too long ago and looked relatively solid, scored himself a try. And that game, Luke Jacobson at number 20, Cortez Aratama as the number 21, Damien McKenzie coming off the bench at 22. I believe this will be the first game off the bench for him in the Rugby Championship. And then David Havili as the number 23. For Brandon, but for Australia, it is Brandon Paianga-Mosa, Isaac Kailea coming in for James Slipper, and Alan Alatoa, Lukan Salakai-Lotto. He actually made quite an impact in the second half of the last game. Langy Gleeson at 20. Tate McDermott, Ben Donaldson comes back in for Tom Liner, and Josh Fluke at number 23. So those are the benches for these two sides, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be quite interesting to see whether or not Australia can do what they did last week and just bump it up a little bit more. We have got there, if Argentina win, they better win the whole thing. South Africa don't want a watered-down championship win, says Cool Story Bros. Yes, so for that to happen, Argentina will need to beat South Africa by 8 points. And if they manage to do that, then that would be their rugby championship, which is absolutely insane, isn't it? To think that at the start, it was debated whether or not Argentina would be in 4th or 3rd, and now it's going to be the case of are they going to finish in 1st or 2nd, although if New Zealand win this game, then Argentina could still finish in 3rd place. Feel sorry for the Aussies. All Blacks too strong for them. I think by the looks of it, Israel Dag is going through the New Zealand side at the moment, looking at Fletcher Null as well as Noah Hotham, two Crusaders, will not be playing in this game. David Havili, FFS, did he bring his wheelchair? Says Mark, and the box only best All Blacks first game because ref give penalties for everything. Says Francois. Oh, Beauden Barrett, 20 plus points is the thing that the TAB are thinking for this game, which makes me think he's been given the kicking tee, which is interesting because Beauden Barrett, he went through a patch where he was pretty much the Marnie Libok of New Zealand rugby. No one wanted to see that man have a kicking tee in hand, and now he's got a massive responsibility here. Every point in Wellington will be crucial. So, you know, will they regret not having Mackenzie's kicking? Although Mackenzie, he's missed his fair share of kicks as well. He's a great, pretty good young player, but geez, let's get some youngsters in there. We have the Bledisloe, can't get the championship, says Mark Kiwi. We have good. Are you playing the haka in the game too? Sadly, due to licensing, any match footage or audio will get you taken straight off YouTube with a copyright strike. So sadly, we cannot show anything in terms of the footage, but we will be doing the play-by-play commentary all throughout the match, as well as South Africa versus Argentina, which is happening a little bit later on. But looking through at a few of the interesting stats from throughout this rugby championship, ladies and gentlemen, there are some players in this game who have been able to stand up throughout the rest of the comp more, or I guess in particular, you could say Caleb Clark. He's got 4 tries at the moment for New Zealand. He is the leading try scorer of the rugby championship. If you look through at some of the other stats though, Ardie Savia, he has had the most carries out of any player with 77. He has also beaten many defenders, 15, the most out of any player from the comp, and that is including players like Thomas Albanoz, Beauden Barrett, Will Jordan, Cheslin Colby, all have less than Ardie Savia. They are only one behind though, so that could all change at the end of this game in terms of who will be sitting at the top of the bunch. Lineouts 1, New Zealand, it's actually Ardie Savia. He's had 13 lineouts 1, Tupou has had 12, and Sam Derry has had the 10. In terms of metres gained, Beauden Barrett is up there alongside Will Jordan for New Zealand. Tom Wright, though, having 213 in total, including over 100 from his last game. And South African here, hope ABs win by 50 points. And New Zealand have had enough championships, no shame in dropping one, says Heaney. And Mackenzie got a boot hammy, or on the bench. He's useless anyway, says Spider Mick. I think everyone underestimates the Pumas. That's how they sneak into wins, says Trajan there as well. And we have also got the donation from Connor. Is it raining? Always rains when the ABs lose. It is not raining at the moment. So I guess by that logic, it's good news for the ABs. They have not had the most impressive record in Wellington, though. Of their last 7 games, they have only won 1. And that was back in 2018, up against the French. Up against the Australians in Wellington, though, New Zealand have won 4 of the last 5. The other was a draw. So, you know, it's an interesting ground, really. In fact, it's just an interesting city. New Zealand don't seem to be able to play well there unless it's up against Australia. And what are your thoughts on the Cake Tin voodoo or hoodoo? Says Rodney. Well, it's very interesting looking at the stats because New Zealand also have one of their worst winning records out of any city in Wellington, only winning 69% of the time. Their best record actually comes in Hamilton, where they win about 90-something, I think it was, percent of the time of their 18 games played. Eden Park, which has the Fortress, and they haven't lost a game in the last 50 or so, they actually only win 88, I think it was, percent of the time at that ground. I think today the ABs are going to win with a huge margin, considering the introduction of quality players like Dihavili, Damien, and TJ can really bring impact, or bring that impact from the bench, says Enoch, although TJ is, of course, in that starting lineup for the All Blacks here. Damien McKenzie, currently the leading point scorer throughout the Rugby Championship, almost doubling anyone else who has been kicking in the comp. Tackles 165 for Ardie Savia, but Harry Wilson has had 70. They actually showed before, though, that Savia had more tackles than Harry Wilson, I believe, in their stats to stats. Wellington is the capital of New Zealand, right? It certainly is, yep. Some people think it's Auckland, but Wellington is the capital. We are only sitting 15 minutes away from the kickoff of this contest, ladies and gentlemen. So we are up to that stage how we ask for score predictions, and we also ask for first try scorers. Who do you guys think will cross the line first? Honestly, I think Caleb Clark has got a really good shot, the way that he runs it hard at the line. Rico Ioane scored himself his first try of the Rugby Championship last week. Perhaps it's going to go all right. Absolutely not. The Rugby Championship must always be won. I told a friend, I think we should start losing feeling for other sides. He had disgusted look on his face, and I knew that I was soft. Says Mr. All-In. New Zealand doesn't have a capital. It's too small, says Mr. Marmite. Well, it does have a capital city, yes. Cody Taylor says Gums. Oh, so you're thinking Roland Mould try possibly, or just open play for Cody Taylor. Savia first try, says JB. And hey, Hamish, great to see you, says Judy. Welcome back, Judy. Hope you are keeping well, and hope you are excited for not just this game, but also the last game of the Rugby Championship between the Springboks and Argentina. There's a lot on the line for that contest. We are going to have an hour-long build-up for that match as well, including another game of the URC beforehand. The Lions taking on Ulster. Should be an absolutely awesome game. Mertz or Carter, who's the best, says NZ Guy. Depends on who you talk to, really. Like, there are differences in the way that they play. So it's one of those ones that you could easily say either of them on their given day, but I think more people would probably say Carter, I would say. Mertz is best. I think TJ is going to score first, says John. We have got there New Zealand by 30 points, says Greg there, and 27-24 for the Pumas, says Trajan. And I'll tip New Zealand by 6 points, says JW. Yes, I've seen, to be honest, there haven't been many predictions of around 10 points. Other than, I predicted 10 in my preview. I said 32 points to 22, but a lot of the time here, we have seen predictions either extremely close and less than 7, or people are saying it's going to be a blowout New Zealand by 20. I don't think we've seen too many in between so far. Who's the best ABs ever? Best AB ever in your opinion, says JP. I mean, there's so many depending on the position. Like, because you could obviously argue there's been certain forwards that have been the best. There's been certain backs that are the best, but they also couldn't play the way that the other position plays, if that makes sense. So I feel like for individual positions, you've got a lot of different players. What happens here? You give us running commentary, says Greg. Pretty much, yeah, we do the play-by-play commentary of the game. We let you know the try scorers. We let you know the stats all throughout the game due to YouTube's policy of not showing copyrighted content. So we are only able to do the radio-style commentary, I guess you could say, rather than showing the match. But we are very close to that kickoff now, only 10 minutes away. The two sides will just about be making their way out of the tunnel, which you can see in my background, just there. They will be coming out of there. Long walk onto the field. New Zealand 32, Australia 17. Hello, Hamish. We have got there. How come you don't stream on Twitch, says Jed. I mean, Twitch also do have the same rules as YouTube, although I think that sometimes you get away with it a little bit longer on Twitch, but you also can't be monetized on both. So because we already have a monetized YouTube channel, we aren't actually able to monetize on Twitch. Like, we could still stream on Twitch, and maybe it's something we could look at in the future. It's just more so I don't really know how to use Twitch. I'll be honest, that's the main reason. 374 for Australia to score 4 tries in each half. Rugby commentary and food recommendations, says Fluffy there. And we have got that let's go, says Michael. That's BS, says JP. In what regard, what are we talking about, JP? As in, like, why we don't do it on Twitch? Or what, like, in terms of the best All Black? New Zealand style Australia's flag, says Mr. Marmite, who's running the back line tonight, says NZ Guy. I mean, I can show you who is going to be in this back line. We have got there because Twitch is for meatheads, says Daryl. Are you going to Rugby World Cup 2027? Not too sure yet. I know either way we're either going to be there or we're going to be doing the commentary for it, but looking through at this All Black side, it is Ethan de Groot in the front row alongside Cody Taylor and Tyrell Lomax. Cody Taylor, he's had a sensational Rugby Championship so far. Definitely one of the standout hookers throughout the competition. Scott Barrett at 4 and Tupou Vai there at number 5. Vai has been very impressive. Barrett, not so much. He needs a big one here. A lot of physicality needed. We've only got 2 Barretts in the starting lineup rather than 3 here, which does mean Bowden and Scott. The 2, Wallace Satiti at number 6. He has been the inform option at blindside flanker for New Zealand. Sam Cane at 7 and Artie Savia as the number 8. Now, Sam Cane, this will be his 100th game, so a massive occasion for that man. Probably his last game on New Zealand soil as well. So he wants to finish it on a high, and it's going to be interesting to see whether or not he's going to be able to do that. He wants it, though. Didn't have the best performance last week. Perhaps this week is when we are going to see him do a lot better in terms of the back line. It is TJ Perenara, Bowden Barrett, the combination from the Hurricanes way back in the day. We will have to wait and see whether or not we see that same magic that they used to create. Anton Leonard-Brown and Rico Ioane in the midfield combo. Caleb Clark and Sevu Reece out on the wings. And then Will Jordan at number 15. For the Australians, once we drink very quickly. Do you guys see me tip that on my seat? Angus Bell, Matt Faisler and Taniela Tupou as the front row. Nick Frost and Jeremy Williams in the locking duo with Rob Valentini, Fraser McRae and Harry Wilson. McRae and Wilson both standing up big time in the first match up against New Zealand. We need a big game here from Rob Valentini, though. I feel like him and Scott Barrett, for me, are the two forwards that maybe underperformed a little bit in match number 1. Jake Gordon and Noah Lolesio, the new combination, but they have used it before, new for the games. Up against the All Blacks last week, it was Nick White. He is no longer going to be there for the Australians. Hunter Paisami and Len Ikitau in the midfield. And then in the back three, Dylan Peach moves to the left wing. That is rather than Marika Kurumbetti. And on the right wing, it is Andrew Callaway. And number 15, a man who had over 100 metres last week, it is Tom Wright. But that is the starting lineup for both of these sides. We've got there Barrett. We have got there the fact that you can't monetize on both platforms. Yeah, it's just one of the rules that Twitch have, though, so that they limit like people to being a streamer on their platform so that you can't stream elsewhere as well. He came here for rugby commentary, food recommendations, and making Hamish uncomfortable. Says Grant, and good morning, Hamish from Durban. Looking very smart in your suit. Thank you very much, Brian. Greatly appreciated for your being here. And we have got the all right strap in, says Tony, and the chat as well. But ladies and gentlemen, the teams making their way out of the tunnel. Do let me know your score predictions. Who's winning this game? Second match of the Bledisloe. Some would say it doesn't really have as much on the line as it could have. And that's the thing. We've got to remember it was only 3 points last week that could have changed this result. But looking through at the bench, ladies and gentlemen, for this game as well, both of these sides have got interesting choices, you could say, coming off the bench for this game. Asafa Moore, Tamaiti Williams, and Pasilio Tosi there as the number 18. Patrick Tuipulotu returns for the All Blacks at number 19. Sam Cane, all smiles as he made his way out of the tunnel, but now the game faces on. He's had 16 tries, 12 years since his debut, and runs out onto Sky Stadium with an electric welcome from the crowd as well. He's got a big smile, Sam Cane. That was actually a really nice moment for a guy who has been criticised and has been, I guess you could say, brutalised at time by the New Zealand public. They have all come together to give him the big round of applause for his 100 test matches. It could be his last game on New Zealand soil. And gets a big hug from his teammate Tupou Vai as well. But Luke Jacobson at number 20, Cortez Ratama, Damian McKenzie and David Havili are there as the back replacements for New Zealand. Brandon Poyanga-Mosa, Isaac Kailea comes in for the injured James Slipper, and Alan Alatoa as the number 18. Lukan Salakai-Loro and Langy Gleeson at 19 and 20. Tate McDermott, Ben Donaldson and Josh Fluke there as the number 23. We're just about to have the national anthems. Ola Hamish looking smart and amping up the game, says La Chica there. And Pride is always on the line, says JP. And we have got there in the chat. I am so happy for Kane. He deserves the applause. And let's go, says Suzuki in the chat as well. But the national anthem for Australia is just about to be sung, ladies and gentlemen. And then we will be ready for this contest. Like I said, do let me know who you think will score the first try of this contest. There are many options that could get over the try line, I believe, in this contest. There are some standout players for their sides. The big question, though, is who will be the side who win this game, because last game was so close. Wellington, New Zealand have a great record up against the Australians, but New Zealand's record in Wellington is not great. I'm not getting new vid alerts. What the hell? Kia ora from Brisbane, says James Martin. It is a shame, but as long as you know when the games are kicking off, you will know that we are going to be here for the streams. Will we see Hamish sing the New Zealand national anthem live on stream? I would rather not break your eardrums, so I think I would be better off just talking about the lineups. And Zinzan pick his team of the century, minus Carter and McCall. Well, says Spider Mech. She's not bad looking, that singer for the Australian anthem. Says Choke the Woke. And Sam Cane for the first try. That would be a massive one for him. We need a 10. Says NZ Guy. And we have got their county forward pack. Could replace the AB's pack after today's game, says Peter Wild. They were dominant up against Wellington. In that game, they were $5 underdogs. To go on and win by about 40 points was absolutely insane. We see there the order: Scott Barrett, Bowden Barrett, then Sam Cane in that lineup. He has got still a big smile on his face, Cane. That's the thing. If he can have a blinder here, I feel like that would just do so much for himself, as well as, I guess, for what people remember Sam Cane for. And Callaway will score the first try, says Mumbo Jumbo Kiwi. Good luck to the Aussie brothers by hoping us Kiwis beat you, says Heaney. They are showing Scott Robertson, a man with a lot of pressure on him. And I heard if we get the exact score, Hamish is doing the box game in a hot tub. I'm not sure whether or not that is the case. I don't actually have a hot tub. I don't actually have a bath either. I have a shower, so I have to do the live stream from a bucket or something. That might be quite tight. I've never seen Sam Cane smile so much, says Grant. It's as if it's now like a weight off his shoulders, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like he's happy for the occasion, but at the same time, like, he has had such a long time in that AB's kit. Like, 2012 is where he made his debut, and now he is going to get that opportunity to close it out, storybook end. Well, not really, because they won't win the Rugby Championship from it, but a win under the belt would be exactly what Sam Cane wants to end off his New Zealand rugby tenure. But I should mention he's probably still going to be there in November as well. But the national anthem has been sung. Gave the big pat on the back to Cody Taylor there, Sam Cane. He's full of emotion. And love of the tie, bro, says Aaron. Thank you very much, mate. Greatly appreciated you all being here once again. Do let me know who you think will score the first try in this contest, ladies and gentlemen. We have got the haka, and then we are ready to go for this match. Instead of a haka, why not a cockfight? Are we talking about like the animals, or are we talking about the actual appendages, Obi, there? One of them probably isn't allowed due to them considering it animal cruelty. The other one probably not allowed because it's PG. And Mackenzie too small to tackle. Glad Bowden is back, says Bob. Looking sharp as always, buddy, says coaches. Thank you very much, mate. The All Blacks ready to go for their haka. TJ Perenara will once again lead it. They all look determined to go out there and put in a big showing. When does the game start? It starts in 2 minutes' time after the haka is performed. But Dylan Peach gets the opportunity in the starting lineup rather than Marika Korumbetti. There's also the change at 9 with Jake Gordon coming into the side. Those are the only changes that the Australians decided to make in their starting 15 for New Zealand. They've thrown it back to the old school Hurricanes days of TJ Perenara and Bowden Barrett, with Anton Leonard-Brown coming in for the injured Geordie. Now, it's still unconfirmed whether Geordie will actually be there in the November international. So if Leonard-Brown has a big showing here, perhaps that could outbook his spot moving forward for the ABs. But they are doing kamate for the haka. And Geordie's injury may be a blessing in disguise since no coach ever drops him. Says Trajan, All Blacks by 14, says Arcade of Dreams, Flow Rugby glitching. It is also glitching on Sky a little bit, so I think it's just everywhere. So how confident is everyone that New Zealand won't crash again in the second half, says coaches. I mean, I would like to think there's something that they would have learnt, but that's 5 games in a row, you know, so tell you what, that was a passionate haka, because we got to remember, like, a lot of eyes are on Sam Cane, right? But this is also TJ's last game in New Zealand for the All Blacks. Or at least allegedly. Like, there's still a chance that he comes back at some point, but you just never know. But for TJ, he is passionate for this game. He needs a better performance than he's had his last couple starts. As Cortez Ratama, if you're basing it off form, Ratama beat 8 defenders last week. He was on absolute fire as the stadium sold out. It certainly is. The crowd are fired up. The match is about to start. Ethan de Groot looked very red during that haka. Respect the haka. I love the respect the Aussies give the haka. Says Heaney. It is Amusha Kelly, the referee in charge of this game. Eric Cousins will be the TMO. I've never heard of him. That makes me slightly concerned, but hopefully he's all right in that regard. And Damien McKenzie first points with the penalty, says Nico. Well, that would be in the second half because McKenzie not starting in this game. Sam Cane first try, says G-Man Artie is hyped up. I think the whole of the All Black side are fired up. In fact, I want to say that was the most passionate haka we have seen in quite some time. in terms of New Zealand soil, boys looking like they were ready to go to war. And who knows, maybe this game's going to turn into one. Noah Lolesio going to be ready to go to kick this one off for the Australians. What's the local time? It is 7:05 p.m. local time, so a little bit of evening dew probably around. This game, ladies and gentlemen, is just about here for the Rugby Championship. Final round, New Zealand versus Australia, the Trans-Tasman rivalry. We are ready to go, and the whistle has sounded. Noah Lolesio to kick this one off and get us underway for Bledisloe Cup match number 2, taken by Scott Barrett inside of the All Blacks 22, and they will look for the rolling maul off the get-go, gets them outside of the 22 in the hands of Cody Taylor. Valentini trying to pierce his way through the middle, and already looked like Perenara was shaping for the kick, but instead goes across to Lomax and does hit it straight into Nick Frost. We have there, no one wants to hear your BS commentating, says Frosty. Well, you will sadly have to go somewhere else, Frosty, because that's what we're doing throughout the whole game. Perenara puts the box kick up. Tom Wright nicely taken, but Clark makes the tackle on him on the halfway line. Now Gordon going off to the left-hand side. Early possession for the Wallabies. Taniela Tupou runs straight at the captain. Barrett trying not to give away the penalty for rolling. Now Lolesio, Harry Wilson in behind to Paisam. He slips over but gets the pass to Frost. Damien is good on broken play. He should be better coming off the bench later. Now Valentini trying to bump off Sam Cane, but he hangs on to him. Oh no, Taniela Tupou's injured again. Every single time. Looks like the knee, his weight, like the body just can't hold up on those legs, unfortunately. Every game for Taniela Tupou, there's some sort of injury. Last game was the same, unfortunately for him. Big shot coming in from Scott Barrett on him, and then the knee just buckles. And I think now we're going to see Alan Alatoa having to play the full length of the game. We have good there. What's the local time? It says it was 7:05. I did answer that one, didn't I? We have got there. I chuck on some sunglasses, mate, so we can watch in the reflection. Says Broken Bricks. Unfortunately, YouTube are a little bit smarter than some people give them credit for, and also Sansa are the ones that you probably have to look out for. Not so much YouTube picking up on it, but Sansa are constantly scanning YouTube and looking through streams to look for people infringing on copyright, and that would be considered that. But that is not good news for the Australians. Tupou injured again, seems to be made of glass despite his appearance, says Thorfinn. It looks like he's going to try and continue playing though, which is a massive decision here. Takes me back to horrible Darcy Swain clear out, says TRM, and Glassman Tupou, says Grant Swartz. Like they've said, Taniela Tupou having huge struggles with injury all throughout his career. I mean, he's built like a tree trunk for those legs, that is for sure. Alan Alatoa, he thought he was about to make his way on. Hamish with sunglasses will look like a Kiwi 007. And good evening, Hamish, says Zion. And there as well. Uncontested scrums, here we go, says Albert. Not quite. He looks, that didn't look good for Taniela Tupou. It looked like he said, I want to try, and then the knee almost gave way. So, this is going to be an ugly scrum here, I would say. Tupou wanted out for the Reds for less playing time and more money, says Thorfinn. And go the All Blacks, yes, says Reed. And there as well. But the Packways, New Zealand have a 13 kg advantage. The Wallabies will actually have the scrum feed here. And like the commentators have said, they will try and get that ball in and out as quickly as physically possible. Jake Gordon, scrum's gone down. A little bit too much movement there in the front rows. Tupou does get back up to his feet, though. He looks like he's going to be all right just for now. And Bond, Hamish Bond. And up Hamish for the first try. And let's go the All Blacks, says William there. Okay, they're keeping a close eye on Taniela Tupou and Ethan de Groot's side of the scrum here. And good evening, Hamish. Thank you for your channel. Says Jay Lane. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. Andrew Callaway positioned directly behind the scrum alongside Noah Lolesio. I would say that the Australians, they can use this with Harry Wilson. That would be even more dangerous. Here we go, the scrum. has gone in, nicely done. Gordon goes to the short side, off to Andrew Callaway. There is open space. He's kicked it in behind. Perenara, he's losing the foot race. Jordan gets the wrong bounce of the ball. Bowden can't clean it up. Two Australians fighting for the ball, and neither of them could put it down. But I think they're going to check this. I think it was Gordon, and it might have been Len Ikitau, or it might have actually been Callaway there. But either way, Australia, I think, have just fumbled their first opportunity. Okay, no grounding, knocked on by goal, but the bounce of the ball, it did not like Will Jordan, that is for sure. When he's out on the wing, the ball normally sticks to him like a magnet. Right, it's going to be a goal line dropout for New Zealand. I don't know what they're complaining about. I'd take a goal line dropout at this point. I'm not sure what they're asking for, whether or not they're trying to say... In fact, I don't even know what they're looking at or what they're asking for a penalty for. Because there's absolutely nothing that they could be penalised for in that case. But TJ will find something, that is for sure. This is for third and fourth playoff. Says Thessaloniki. Not necessarily. If New Zealand win and Argentina lose, New Zealand will more than likely finish second in the Rugby Championship. Now Bowden Barrett going to be dropping this one onto the boot. Bangs it down to 50 metres out. Here comes Harry Wilson, the skipper, and Satiti makes a solid tackle on him. Gordon goes back across to Matt Faisler. Scored the first try for Australia in the last match. Jeremy Williams runs straight at De Groot, breaks through him as well. Now Gordon, back to the left-hand side. Matty Faisler, they move up to 22 metres out. Valentini with the pick and go. TJ trying to hold him up. Isn't quite able to go into the short side here. Dylan Peach, tackled by Jordan. They have to release him. Round the side, Angus Bell. New Zealand very compact at the moment in the way that they are defending. I see Jordan right next to the breakdown and the advantage for Cody Taylor being offside. Australia only 7 metres from the line. TJ needs to keep his mouth shut. I mean, it was what got him in trouble last time. Big tackle on Taniela Tupou. Wilson tackled early by Barrett, still under penalty advantage here for the Australians. New Zealand waiting for the perfect opportunity to try and get their turnover. Gordon goes back across to the right. Noel Alessio slinging past. Clark has to make the tackle on right, but he misses it. Kane and Savia managed to shut him down. And now they've been told to let him go. Savia hasn't quite done that yet. They're still trying to get their counter right. Gordon cross to Matt Faisler. Paisami. Big sell of the dummy from Jeremy Williams, who has started this match extremely well. Gordon back to Paisami, and they'll go back for the original penalty. And g'day, hopefully the Wallabies win. Says Star Code there. And Hamish, how are you? Says Professional Security. Doing very well, mate. It's been a fast-paced start to this contest. Both sides looking like they are fired up, ready to go in this contest. All right, we will go like that. We will go like that as well. That's a bold call. The Australians have kicked for the corner. Ladies and gentlemen, they have decided that they want 7s rather than 3s. Ratama should have started, says Jay Link. It'll be interesting to see how this game goes with the selections that we saw from Scott Robertson. Going with as much experience as possible in his starting side. But Jeremy Williams, a little bit of a slip there from Rob Valentini. Looks a bit wet underfoot in Wellington, although there is no rain. Great rolling maul. Matty Faisler almost manages to bust through the defensive line, only a couple metres from New Zealand's try line now. Taniela Tupou passes it across, gives it to Bell over the ball, Savia, but there is another penalty advantage against New Zealand. Sam Cane tackles the Wallabies forward. Wide cut-out pass again here. Tom Wright, great low tackle. Round the bootlaces from Caleb Clark. Now Ikitau. On the side of the breakdown, Anton Leonard-Brown tackles him. Perenara tries to play at Jake Gordon. They'll go back for the penalty again. And Shalom Hamish says, David, welcome in. And also we got the Island King go spit. And here we go, them damn penalties, says Aaron. And if TJ can move as fast as his mouth, would actually be a good halfback, says Richard. Probably true. 87% possession, 100% territory for the Wallabies, and they have had 2 minutes 13 inside of New Zealand's 22. New Zealand have decided that the first 20 minutes is where they're going to struggle rather than the last 20. Cool. Quick tap taken by Matty Faisler, leaves it behind for Hunter Paisami. Gordon across there to Jeremy Williams. Close to the try line now for the Australians. Rob Valentini to the short side off to Taniela Tupou within a metre now for the Wallabies. Ball bounces out the back. New Zealand scramble to try and get it. Sam Cane making a must-make tackle round the side now. Fraser McRae, he's over and he's scored the first try for the Wallabies. And once again, McRae gets on the try sheet up against the ABs, but a build-up of pressure from the Australians. The first 7 minutes, New Zealand have not been able to get their hands on the ball. And the Wallabies. Trying to think, last game, I think New Zealand had 3 tries before Australia scored 1. In this game, Australia have got a try before New Zealand have had any territory, which is a very impressive stat. And Cody Taylor, first try, boom. Says Kinnerwick. And also we got a game. Says Fluffy there. And also who do you think will win? Hamish says Professional Security. I mean, even with Australia getting this early try, my original prediction was 32-22 in favour of New Zealand. So I'm not going to change it just because of this, although I do think that Australia have started this match extremely well. But now Noah Lolesio does get that kick over. It's going to make the score 7-0 now for the Australians. ABs are dead. Says Jeremy. I mean, I feel like this rugby championship, though, Australia were up by 20, they lost by 40. South Africa were up by around that 20 points, they lost to Argentina. So it doesn't really completely matter what happens in that first little while. We've learned from games of the rugby championship, it's about consistency and whether or not you can get the job done later on in the game. But it's a brilliant start for the Australians here. Now, nice pass going across field. Nice run from Ikitau. Gets through inside ball to Peach. Numbers here. Gordon, he passes it. That was a poor one from Paisami. That actually needed to go to Nick Frost first originally. And they're not going to lie. I think Aussie's got a chance. A big surprise. Well done, the Wallabies. Says Brian. McRae is a tank. Super impressed by him. Says Arthur Morgan. Yeah, he's stood up every time he gets that chance. And he just has an ability of scoring tries, but we see there Sam Cane just not able to bring in Ikitau. Dylan Peach, Gordon there needed to go to Frost, and he missed the opportunity there, which then caused the Wallabies to knock it on. And we have got there, those 3 tries the AB scored were bad defending by the Aussies, says Leslie. And also we have got there Waya Remix Red, says K-Sauce. And also you asked for the reasoning, JP, there you have it, says Trajan. Rico Ioane is doing a lot of work covering tackles. Currently 7-0. New Zealand now will get possession for one of the first times in this match, but they are going to be inside of their own half. Wallabies sitting at 10 in the world rankings. Our times have changed, says Michael Cap. Exactly right. They've gone down drastically throughout this rugby championship. Here comes Bowden Barrett, passes on the outside to Will Jordan, puts the little grubber in behind, and the ball rolls into touch. Clark not quite able to bring it in. A little bit overcooked for that kickoff, Jordan. Now it's going to be the line out for the Australians. Nice one, Aussies come on the ABs. Says Springbok replay zone. Yeah, getting off to a dream start in this game here. Australia make the All Blacks great again. Nicely taken by Jeremy Williams. Now offloaded back, Matt Faisler. Goes across to Jake Gordon, Paisami, Lolesio, Callaway, slinging pass out wide to Dylan Beach, who was brought into the starting lineup, and he runs straight at Rico Ioane. Sam Cane, though, had the ball. Did he know? They've said he slapped it back. Hands in the ruck penalty goes against Sam Cane, who almost got a decent crack at that one. I think the ref is saying that the ruck was formed when he tried to do so. So it is now going to be Australia who have got themselves the line-out opportunity off a penalty. So far, New Zealand have conceded 3 penalties. Australia have not conceded a single penalty throughout the first 11 and a half minutes. Bring back Buck, says David. But yeah, big run from Dylan Peach. And then just bouncing out the side of the ruck. Now thrown in by Matt Faisler, nicely taken by Jeremy Williams again. Seems to be the real target for them in this contest. Valentini runs straight at Savia. He's going to struggle to be able to roll out of that one. Referee saying that the ball is available. Severis wasn't helping the situation for going with a counter ruck. Little pass in behind from Paisami once again makes the mistake. Now New Zealand in possession just outside of the 22. It's an ugly one. The ball's popping out all over the place. And it's going to be the scrum now for New Zealand. Like the All Blacks run out of steam last 20 minutes. Wallabies trying to put the points on early, says Brian. And we have got there the Southern Hemisphere should also put up a team to take on the Northern teams, similar to the British Lions, I should say. I feel the Wellington curse brewing here, says Cameron K. ABs with no ball, says JW. Yeah, it's been great work so far from the Australians to be able to keep that intensity and also just keep that ball in hand. Showing there, Fraser McRae, his try was very impressive getting around that side of the breakdown. But 13 minutes in at the moment, and it is 7-0 for the Australians. Just thinking, last game at this point, New Zealand were 14-0 up. Just let that sink in. In a couple more minutes' time, they were 21-0 up. Nadi Savia going off TJ Perenara on the right-hand side. Passes out wide to Severis, who ran out of options, really. Isolated himself there out on the wing. And tackled on the halfway line by Dylan Beach. Bowden Barrett goes to the big bro Scott. Now to the left-hand side. Cross to Cody Taylor. Daniela Tupou makes the tackle on the halfway line. This is the first territory that New Zealand have had in this game. Rico Ioane, quick hands. Out wide to Caleb Clark, who cuts inwards, just couldn't quite link up with that next passing option. Perenara, flat ball to Scott Barrett again. They're 22 metres out. Bowden Barrett, cross to Tupou. Tackled by Harry Wilson. McWright wins the penalty in the breakdown. Ooh, that's an interesting one. Crowd are not happy about it. I'm a Kiwi and I don't feel that way. Now we have got there, New Zealand should not take any team on the planet lightly. The game has evolved so much, so minimise mistakes, says Satya1. And WGF Black, are you carrying on from last week? Now going to be kicking this one into touch for Nola Alessio. Wallabies are here to play tonight. They certainly are. They're looking strong in the early stages. Great commitment in the breakdown, not just from Fraser McRae who won the penalty, but the breakdown beforehand. Jake Gordon straight back up to his feet, trying to get that turnover. And just locked over the ball, Fraser McRae. Extremely strong. Now Matt Faisler going to throw this one in. That one was not straight, but it is play on. Gordon goes across Nola Alessio to Rob Valentini. How you doing, Sharks versus Connacht? We are a little bit undecided on which one to do for that 7:30 a.m. kickoff for us here in New Zealand. I think it's going to be an 8:30 kickoff for you guys in South Africa. It's either going to be the Sharks, Connacht, or Stormers versus Ospreys, but either way, we'll be letting you know what's happening in the other game during it. Steele there on the halfway line for Tupou. Loose ball, cleaned up by TJ Perenara. Cody Taylor goes across to Wallace. TT, some nice stepping from the inform option. Anton Leonard-Brown pass on the outside to Severis. And the All Blacks will get there first. 15 minutes in the game. Great breaking run from Wallace Satiti, followed up by Anton Leonard-Brown as well there. And Reese will reap the rewards. A great steal, first of all, from Adi Savia to get that ball. Then Va'i making some good meters. And then Wallace Satiti breaks through the Aussie defence and manages to get the offload alongside it. Passed out wide to Severis. And then no one able to catch up with him. Put sunglasses on, says WS. YouTube are smart enough, or more so Stan are smart enough, to know that even if you're doing that, that is still considered copyright infringement. Sadly, your scoreboard is ahead of your stream, Amish, says Joke the Woke. It sometimes is. Unfortunately, we can't really help it too much as it is an online scoreboard. But now lining up this kick, Bowden Barrett, for the first time in a long time. He is going to have the opportunity. His success at international rugby is 72%. And it's probably going to drop to 71 now, as that one has missed for Bowden, remaining the score at 7 points to 5. And when last did Australia beat New Zealand on this ground, says Sisleru, it's been a little while. They've had a draw in the last 5 matches, but it's been a long time. I think that was back in the Larkham days, I believe. Wallabies are looking sharp, says Vitamin Green. And Leonard Brown with the pass. Yeah, very nice pass out wide to Severis. Now, kicking it off again here. It's the first territory really for New Zealand after 15 minutes of it being all Australia. Kicked off by Bledisloe and taken by Scott Barrett. Only because they're playing the ABs. Says choke the woke. Now TJ Perenara will go back across to the right-hand side to Tyrell Lomax. Tackle Taniela Tupou over the ball and he wins the penalty for Australia. Now they turned down 3 points earlier on in the game. Now that New Zealand have scored, are they tempted to take it or are they willing to go for the corner again and look to get themselves another try? We've got to remember New Zealand have been heavily penalised throughout the first 18 minutes. So if they start... Oh, no, they're taking the 3. I was about to say, if they start giving away penalties for rolling maul infringements, we could have seen a yellow card early on in this game. Wallabies beat the ABs in Welly in 2020, 24 points to 23. Says Arthur Morgan. And Hamish, do you know if the union has ever discussed forming a tournament like URC involving Super Rugby sides? The unions have ever discussed forming a tournament like the URC involving Super Rugby sides? So you mean like Super Rugby? Or you mean like as in like more countries involved? The big setting? Because like Super Rugby and URC, the only difference is more teams from different places in the URC. Now lining up this one, there's going to be Nola Alessio. The Wallabies are building in confidence as the game goes on. And he's got it over. Going to make the score now 10 points to 5. Sorry, that was in 2000, not 2020, says Arthur Morgan. And the featured top 14 teams and possibly the Japanese club sides would be sick to see Hurricanes versus Toulon, etc. And everything all connected to Wi-Fi, automatic turnover now, says Doctor. But kicked off by Bowden Barrett. The All Blacks down by 5, territory still 83. Oh, that's an ugly one. Clark went up for it almost. Yeah, it's going to be the penalty. Grabbed him in the air. If I was Clark, I would just walk away before the ref decides it's a yellow card. Unfortunately for him, just didn't quite get up in time to get that penalty, or to get that ball, I should say. He ends up penalised. And, yeah, didn't get the ball there, Caleb Clark. It is a fair penalty. Luckily, neither of them landed badly. Now 6 penalties against New Zealand. And All Blacks are getting heavily penalised, says Rodney. Exactly right. If they continue at this rate, they will give away 24 penalties in the game. Line out stolen by Satiti. Now Savi across to the right-hand side. Anton Leonard-Brown goes to Ioane. Severis has to dive out in front of him, and he's driven almost into touch. Yes, he is. OMFG can't even pass, says Choke the Woke. Going to be the line out now for the Wallabies. They will be 37 metres out, but a great steal from Wallace Satiti as they targeted Nick Frost in the line out. Severis just having a dive out in front of him, getting forced towards the touchline. Already having a great game for Wallace Satiti here. Thrown in by the Aussies. Over the top to Nick Frost, this time running forward onto it. Maybe he's having a shocker, says John Wilson. Now Harry Wilson. Probably not a relation. Oh, it's the penalty to New Zealand this time. Locked over the ball, Tyrell Lomax decides if Taniela Tupou is going to have one against him, he better get himself one back. Tyrell Lomax already there is blood coming from his ear. Probably makes it quite hard to hear things. Bowden Barrett going to kick this one towards the touchline. I'm sure those giant white collars are blinded the ABs. Says Choke the Woke. It's kicked out by Bowden. Come on, Aussie. New Zealand new coach, not the chosen one. Everyone thought he would be. Says Wairoa. And we'll see Wilson. Says G-Man there. But a great steal from Tyrell Lomax. And yeah, like a very similar one to Taniela Tupou. This time they go over the top for the All Blacks. Going to Caleb Clark from the hands of Bowden Barrett. TJ Perenara goes to the right. Savia at the option of Ioane shuffling right next to him. Almost got the ball stolen in the breakdown from Valentini. Vai goes back to Barrett, running onto it now. Will Jordan straight through the gap. They won't catch him, and Jordan scores again for the All Blacks. Although double blow of the whistle, it sounded like. Are they going to check something here? Didn't really look like there was much of a gap for Jordan to go through, but he's just gone through like he's a slippery snake of some sort, and just straight. It was the missed tackle from Fraser McWright. It opened up a gap that was absolutely massive. And then from there, Will Jordan, he had enough pace that no one was going to be able to catch him. It just shows one missed tackle is all it takes. No one back there. Tom Wright was way off on the left by the looks of All Blacks win, please. And the problem is there is no one in the stands, says Jimmy James. We're talking about this game because it's sold out at Sky Stadium. So I'm not sure which game you're watching, Jimmy. Because I don't see a single... Oh, no, I see a couple empty seats. They've probably gone for a piss. But now Beauden Barrett getting ready to line up this kick. He is currently sitting 0 from 1. He has now got that one over, so that will make it 1 from 2. And All Blacks always get checked. Says Choke the Woke. Our Warriors definitely is worse than the Western Tigers. ABs better get their act together before halftime so they don't score in the second half, says Springbok replay zone. Nice bit of work there from Will Jordan, or a Frothy, says Fluffy there. Now getting ready to kick this one off. Nicely taken by TJ Perenara. That is an awful kick from TJ. That's almost gone backwards. And he can't blame the Wellington win. And we have got there now, Aussies are done, says Dreis. And the picture I'm seeing, there's no one. That's because this is a picture from about 7 years ago. Fun fact, they're not actually running round on the screen in the background. You can see there's no one there, but the game's live. Now 23 minutes in, Matt Faisler throwing this one in, nicely taken by Rob Valentini. Now looking to get this rolling ball going for the Australians. They are currently 22 metres out from the line. Jake Gordon going off to the left-hand side. Nolalisio floats to Lena Katau. And come on, Aussie, says AJWR. And cheers, Hamish, says David the Mod. Currently 12 points to 10. Scoreboard, I think, has just updated itself. Gordon goes off to the left-hand side. Angus Bell, big run forward at Lomax, who wanted the turnover, but loses his footing. Lolesio goes to Wilson with the no-look pass to Frost. Gordon, a little bit juggly at the back of the breakdown. Lolesio spins out of one. Taylor was looking for the turnover in Ikatel. Now dragged down by Vai. Gordon back across to Fraser McWright. And De Groot manages to shut him down, although he did have the arm over the shoulder. Gordon, Paisami thought about offloading it. They just are continuing to build phase after phase here for the Wallabies at the moment, up to 11 phases. Great low tackle on Tom Wright by Scott Barrett. No one on this left-hand side, so they do have to shift it right with Dylan Peach playing halfback. Who's in charge of the scoreboard? It is an online scoreboard. So some random person that I have never met. Now Lolesio goes across to Fraser McWright. Sam Kane trying to get the turnover, but does end up falling over the breakdown. Vai making the tackle on Harry Wilson. The 14 phases, the Wallabies not really going anywhere at the moment. They want that big line break. Update the score, bro. This is currently the score. Now off to the left-hand side to Taniela Tupou. Wrestled towards the touchline from Rieko Ioane. He manages to drag him out. Tupou had a bit of a smile about it as well. That is some great work from the outside centre. Ioane is having his best game in a while, says Rodney. YouTube makes me sick. Always blurring things out, says Trajan. And also we have got there, meant miss, not piss, says Frank. And right, it's such a pinhead, says Iron Giant Farm, or fan, I should say. Now lighting this one up. It's going to be Cody Taylor to throw it in. 25 metres out from the All Blacks line and well claimed by Scott Barrett. Now another rolling maul coming for the All Blacks. Looks like Nick Frost is trying to get that long claw over the top. Taniela Tupou straight in through the wrong side, I thought. It looks like he's going to be able to... No, he's going to be penalised. He was told to get out of it. Pulling them all down. Try says real one. We've seen 3 so far. 2 for the All Blacks, Will Jordan, alongside the other try being scored by Sevu Reece. Fraser McWright, the lone try scorer for the Australians. Just at this point, if anyone's getting a bit of underground hide and seek, PM me, I'll send you the enrollment. What do you mean underground hide and seek? like actually in like random tunnels? Or like it's like off the grid? Used to quite enjoy a bit of hide and seek myself. Don't know if I'd do it underground. Cody Taylor now ready for the line out. It will be now 38 metres from Australia's line. Chance for the All Blacks. It's going to be stolen there. Way to the right-hand side. Fraser McReight goes to Hunter Paisami. Kicked high. And waiting for it at the back, it is Will Jordan. Claims it 40 metres out from New Zealand's line. Trying to bust through again, but he's tackled by Ikitau and Paisami. Both have to release it. That would just bounce out on the side of New Zealand. Barrett to Lomax. Tackled low by Bell, his opposite in the scrums. Leonard Brown on the short side. Massive chance for him to secure a few starting minutes heading into November internationals. Go home, stay home. Says Matt John there. That was another good game, wasn't it? It's Wallace Satiti, another crashing run forward into Jeremy Williams. Back to Bowden again. On the outside, Leonard Brown. Reese is a long way off his wing. Instead, it's Cody Taylor. I think maybe Ioane realised that. He decided to hang on to it. Perenara back across to Bowden. Barrett sold a couple dummies. Found his brother Scott. Now again, Perenara goes to Bowden like the old school Canes days. Jordan is tackled on the chest. Perenara back across to Tupou. Flings it in behind to Rika Ioane. Wire cut out pass to Cody Taylor. The AB's not really going anywhere. Big shot coming in on Taylor. And it's going to be the penalty advantage against the Australians. Bowden Barrett puts the little chip in behind. Wants the bounce of the ball. Ikitau gets cleaned up with a big knock on the jaw. I think it was actually friendly fire from his teammates. Hamish, why don't you apply for a commentary job at Sky Sport? Because I don't have ex-All Blacks experience. So that normally takes you out of the equation. Hamish, please put on your sunglasses. Says Leslie. Sadly, where I live, we don't get much sun, so I don't actually have some nearby. Cool story, but I played with you. Cool. Yes, I played. Oh, right. Interesting. You need a new shirt, says Timmy Price. This is a different shirt to last week. Fun fact. But it's, it's a plain white. I've got about 3 of them. Haven't worn this one probably a year and a half. Now, Bowden Barrett getting ready to line up this one towards the corner rather than taking on the 3 points. And it doesn't find touch from Bowden. Now it means that Noah Lolesio is able to clear the lines. That's just hit a ball boy in the back of the back. And cracker of a game so far. I guess it's only your back, isn't it? You can't get hit in the back of the back because if you got hit in the front of the back, that's your front. There you go. Great commentary, Hamish says, I don't know whether I should have been reading that just after that statement I made, should I? If anyone asks what channel it's on channel 9 Gem in Australia. Now Cody Taylor to throw this one in 45 metres out. New Zealand are from the Aussie line. Looked like a little bit of confusion in the line out, but it seemed like some sort of set piece the All Blacks have worked on. Cody Taylor now having this one at the back of the rolling maul. Australia trying to stop it from marching forward. Still making a couple metres. They will be told to use it again very soon by Amusha Kelly, the referee. To Anton Leonard Brown, who was tackled by Valentini. 30 minutes into this contest already. Sam Cane with the ball in hand, tackled by Faisler. Back into the pocket, Perenara finds Barrett. Will go for the big up and under. Reese chasing after it. Overcooked from Barrett, though. And well taken by Noah Lolesio at the back. Hamish, have you got Aussie citizenship as a commentator? You're miles better than Sean Maloney on Stan Sports says Power by. I do not have Australian citizenship. But I am going to Australia next week, believe it or not. Fun fact. Just out of nowhere. Rico clearly can't pass to his right. He's not a centre, says Lakerman. Now nice step from Tom Wright, and he's gone straight through. Passes on the outside, and it goes into touch. Had a great running game, just couldn't quite follow it up with the pass there. That's a great step from Tom Wright. Knew that he had Sam Cane and Ethan de Groot in front of him and a gap of about 2 or 3 metres that they had to try and close. And where are you coming to? Says AJWR, will be going to Sydney and Newcastle. That's going to be thrown in by Cody Taylor on the halfway line now for New Zealand. Caleb Clark bundling forward at Andrew Callaway to the left. Perenara goes back across to Tupou, and it's a knock-on from Savia, just not quite getting that pass right. I've been advocating for Bodie to be 10 for ages. How's he performing, says Jacob Hill. I don't want to say it's like not flash, but like, he's had some good moments. It also hasn't been that different to normal, though, I would say, for the All Blacks backline. A few missed opportunities, I guess you could say. Should be a penalty for passing it out. Says Doctor there. Does Sam Cane think he's an AB's great? I haven't talked to Sam Cane, so I wouldn't know. He got a massive, massive round of applause as he made his way out onto the field, though, for the side. And we have there passing to the touchy, says Matt John. You go into the NRL final? We are not, no. We are in Newcastle for that stage. If the Aussies immigration officer asks if you've got a criminal record, tell him you didn't know you still needed one, says TE. Sounds like Beauden Barrett isn't stepping up yet, says One Nuds. Currently 32 minutes in and still only 2 points difference between these two sides. I think that everyone is awaiting that last 20 minutes, aren't they? Because at the end of the day, that last 20 is when we're going to see if New Zealand have learned how to score points or whether it's going to be one of those stages again that they just struggle to get over the line. Brett Cameron for the Northern Tour, Hamish says tonight. I don't think they'll do it, mainly because they haven't really given Harry Plummer a chance. But I guess Brett Cameron, the benefit he has is he had some time. Oh no, if they went Fergus Burke, I'd be like, oh yeah, I get it, because he was ex-Crusader. But I'd say that Plummer's the more likely in that regard. Sam Cane is playing his 100th test today. He certainly is. Beauden Barrett's playing his 131st, I believe it will be. Now, rolling forward, scrum there, and Australia get themselves the big scrum penalty near halfway. Xavier is quite, says Zion, and New Zealand haven't been scoring later in games recently. They need to rack up some points soon, says David Kelly, I should say. New Zealand not themselves anymore. Hope they can be the power they once were, says Christoph. Yeah, I think Australia certainly needs some credit for the way they've played in this game as well, though. They have been taking it to the ABs. First 10 minutes of the game, pretty much all Australia. Are you doing the box game versus the RGs? We certainly are. We are going to have an hour build-up for that contest, so it is starting at 3 a.m. New Zealand time, or that will be 4 p.m. for you guys in South Africa. We'll be looking through at the teams, looking through at all the stats as well. But now, line-out throw for Australia. 22 metres out from New Zealand's line. And it's well claimed by Australia again. McWright goes off to Rob Valentini. No advantage. Valentini bumps off one challenge. Dragged down about 15 metres out. Good attack and run from Frost. Xavier locks over the ball. It was almost there for them. And the ref was just about to give the penalty, but New Zealand missing the jackal. Now Xavier tries again to get it. Valentini tackled by Vai. 10 metres out. The Wallabies on attack again. Little ball to Hunter Paisami, who got absolutely shut down. Lolesio, wide cut out pass to Callaway. Out to the leftist, or the left-hand side again. Angus Bell, they are still playing under penalty advantage here for Australia. Gordon goes across to Tongan Thor, who had a bit of a juggle. Gordon goes to Paisami, and behind Tom Wright, wide cut out pass, finds Dylan Peach, the Tars winger, who is dangerous when in possession. 10 metres out, Gordon goes to Leonard Cattell, gets them a little bit closer. Xavier trying his absolute best to get that turnover. Jeremy Williams, 4 metres out now for Australia. Rob Ballatini, tackled by Xavier. Those two going head-to-head all throughout this first half. Fraser McWright, he's scored many tries and he almost got another, but he's going to be held up this time. Just about slipped around the side. Do you punt? Your knowledge of stats would almost be a cheat code, says Matt John. Believe it or not, I do not, because I'm terrible at predictions. So even though I know most of the stats, it doesn't actually help me, because whatever I think is going to happen never happens. So, yeah, nah. TAB's not my strong suit. Mate, you're doing an awesome job. Good on you, says Gerhard. Thank you very much, mate. And like I said, we are going to be back for the last game of the Rugby Championship as well, taking place between Argentina and South Africa. Jody is injured. I assume that's Geordie. Geordie is indeed. He had the knee brace on earlier on. And it's going to be interesting to see whether or not he's going to be in the November international squad. Oh, Australia lining up 3 points. This will give them the lead. Excellent defence, says Christos. What is the rule on how many minutes you give advantage? This is like minutes, says Oswald. Yeah, see, it's not so much based off how long they have advantage for. It's until you get further forward. But normally they would say about 7 or so phases, and then you start to either go back for that penalty or say advantage over. But this one's going to be straight out in front for Alessio. I actually don't know 90% of these players' names. You have to say which is which, Australia or New Zealand. Says, cool story, bro. Go the Panthers, says Girl. Welcome in, mate. Hope you are keeping well. I was going to say early morning start for you, but I'm not too sure whereabouts in the world you are at the moment, so maybe not so early. Could be a late night. Now lining up this one. Alessio gets it over just, and that is now going to make the score 13 points to 12. Australia in the lead. I bet you is the new one, offering $100 bonus. That's a Wednesday night half draw bet, says Greg there. And at least New Zealand has a Bledisloe, so this isn't a must win for New Zealand, or must win for New Zealand, but they better win to get this Wellywood monkey off their back. Says Novman, big run from Peach. Just inside of the 22 now. Alessio goes back across to Fraser McWright. Tom Wright in behind, finds Len Iketel. Now Gordon, back across to Harry Wilson. Australia haven't really been kicking the ball away too often throughout this game. They've been willing to run it, which I think has made a massive difference in the confidence that they've been playing with. A draw would be interesting, and it has happened before in Wellington. In the last 5 games, they have actually drawn one in Wellington up against Australia. Up to 5 phases again. Gordon will roll this one back for the kick. I have DSTV, but I recently discovered this channel, so here I am listening instead of watching. Says Short, so thank you very much, mate. Greatly appreciated you being here. Here comes Bowden Barrett. Passes on the outside to Caleb Clark, who almost goes straight through the gap. He had, I think Fraser McWright was hanging off him, and he was still running almost at full speed. Cody Taylor way to the right-hand side. Barrett goes across to Savia. Penalty advantage for the All Blacks. Reese has to cut it off the wing. Gets through 2, then gets tackled by Jeremy Williams. Perenara back across to the left. Can New Zealand be in the lead at halftime? Perenara goes to Barrett. Wallace Satiti hit hard by Len Iketel, who manages to find the offload. Goes out to Anton Leonard-Brown. New Zealand 10 metres out now. Satiti begging for that ball. Savia says, no you don't, that one's mine. Now Perenara going to Lomax. Get a 2-man tackle on his legs there from Wilson and Bell, and New Zealand have got another penalty advantage. Perenara to the short side. Who's he looking at there? The medic? It's gone straight into touch, and now New Zealand have got themselves the penalty. And they're on the 22-metre line, says Tyson there. And I feel a try coming up, says Novmum, or it will depend on whether or not New Zealand want to go for the corner or whether they'll take the 3 to get the lead. And Founding Channel today, I'm really enjoying it. Greetings from Ireland, says Marius. So thank you very much for being here. It's greatly appreciated. People from all around the world watching in, all New Zealand kicking for the corner. First time viewing one of these. Pretty cool. My family using my Sky Go account. I'm on a train in Japan, heading back to New Zealand today. Or tonight. Up the AB says as in there. Now ready to throw this one in for New Zealand. They will be 5 metres from the line. Is this the chance they need to get the lead going into the second half? Savia has claimed that one on the short side now for the rolling maul. Well defended from the Australians. I think Bell has to get out of that. And yep, Tyrell Lomax has just biffed him to the side. Ethan de Groot hanging on to that ball. Satiti gets it passed back from Savia. Waiting patiently. Taniela Tupou through the middle. Quite cynical. And this one's going to be at least a penalty. Bowden Barrett in possession, wide out to Will Jordan, who's got pace, tries to go through one, offload, out to Severis, breaks through Callaway. Bowden Barrett goes to Leonard Brown, right through the middle, it's Clark. And New Zealand get themselves another great attacking run from the All Blacks winger. And they will now take the lead just before half-time. We look at the yes, baby, says Aaron. And driving in Northland, New Zealand, so can't watch, but thanks for commentating. Says a Max there. And could I be as old as been, or could I be an old has been All Black? Says as 9. And they're in great try. Says Burning Lash. And what have Kane and TJ done wrong, Hamish? Says, cool story, bro. I mean, we haven't really seen a huge amount of Sam Kane throughout this game, I would say. But TJ, some of the passing choices, I mean, they haven't been great. I'll say that much. But New Zealand, they have scored 3 tries in the first half. The question is, that last 20 minutes, can the All Blacks get themselves some tries? That is what everyone's been waiting for. In fact, people have just been waiting to see points for the All Blacks. A Kiwi listening from the Scottish Highlands, says Brian and Donna there. So thank you very much for tuning in. It is greatly appreciated. Currently halftime in this contest. New Zealand going into the break with a 19-13 lead. All right, we'll go like that. There we go. G'day, Hamish from Florida, where it's 4 a.m. Go the All Blacks, says Eric White. What's our first 5 options for the future? So in the future, they've got Harry Plummer as an option. Someone mentioned Brett Cameron a little bit earlier on. Who else in New Zealand? You've got Peter Feta if he decides that he wants to be a 10. Really young. You've got, who's that fella, Cam Miller, down in Otago. Could be a future option for that 10 jersey. 7 points enough of a lead. It's an intriguing one because I don't know whether or not, well, to be honest, I don't think either of these sides have finished scoring yet. I think we're going to get probably about as many points as we had in the first half as we do in the second. But I think that's going to come mainly from the first 20 minutes. The South Africa game going to be live. We are also going to be doing the South Africa game on the channel. That is kicking off in around 8 hours or 7 hours time. I actually believe that it is. So not too far away. Sorry, Kane missing tackles. Exactly right. Having a couple important misses so far. And kia ora from sunny Dubai. I love you, mahi, bro. Says Koro there. And Hamish, who would you rate dog roll, or how would you rate dog roll Barrett's captaincy so far this year? He's a great player. I don't know if he's the right captain, is all I'm going to say. Like, he's had a pretty solid game here, Scott Barrett, which I feel like he really needed. Because now that Tui Palotu's back, he's going to be right on the verge of trying to get back into that starting side. I feel like the camera crew don't want us to watch it. Says Matt. Riley Higgins, number 12, amazing player. Says Mumbo Jumbo Kiwi. And just a note for the algorithm, says Russell Dodd, or Dold, I should say. Greatly appreciated, mate. But overall, throughout this first half, we've seen a lot of running meters made between these two sides. Mate, is this a preview of the future? The ABs will be lethal. Bodie is a 10, says Jake Toa. I mean, don't get me wrong, Bowden's had some decent moments in this game, but also I feel like until we see Bowden partnered with who's actually going to be the 9 moving forward, it's very hard to tell what the future looks like. Because if TJ's only going on the November tour and then after that he's gone, like, we don't know what the Roygaard Barrett combination, the Ratama Barrett combination looks like. Can't believe some comments criticising your attire. Says Volta, it happens. I'd rather them criticise my attire than my face, so I'll take that. Hit that like button, folks. Says Kerr. In there, go the ABs from Phuket at 3 a.m. Or sorry, 3 p.m. Says Crypto Rob. And also, when you don't see a player in the forwards, you know they're doing their job. Says G-Man. And you're the man, Kiwi Lads. Get on the field now. And still playing a wash David Arvili over Billy Proctor. That is the one that I think most people were surprised about. And, you know, it's going to be interesting to see how he actually goes off the bench. Because Havili hasn't been in form, whereas Proctor had been, but really limited minutes for both of them in the last little while. We've got Lyndon in the chat. He said, hello, welcome in, mate. Hope you're excited for the cricket season just around the corner from taking place. Hamish is our favourite Mormon, says Jake. And we have got there, I wonder when they'll bring Smiley on. I don't think Smiley Barrett's in the side, unfortunately, although I'd love to play alongside his boys, of course. I know you're talking about Damian McKenzie. It'll be interesting because I think they'll try and give Barrett as many minutes as they can. Drop McKenzie and get Bowden and another new guy on standby. Says Coleman and Kane and TJ off. And ABs will rout the Wallabies. And also, will Aussies give up in the last quarter, allowing ABs to score? I don't think they will. I think that based off the last game, Australia scored 2 tries in the last 20 minutes. New Zealand scored 0 points. So if you're basing it off that, you'd have to say that, you know, like maybe Australia are going to have the better finish. But eventually, we've got to see it work for New Zealand. That last 20 minutes has to be coming soon, doesn't it? We have got there during a rebuild period for a team. Coach normally gets a bad rep. What's the general feel towards Razor in New Zealand? A lot of people want to sack him already. I'll be honest, like in terms of what I've seen on social media, I think a lot of people were also expecting more changes to be made, a few more young players to be given opportunities. You know, we look at someone like a Billy Proctor, just for instance. He's been the informed 13 throughout Super Rugby Pacific. He has had one game so far, and that was up against the Fijians of the 9 or so that New Zealand have played. Thanks for sharing. I can't get anything else, so please. Says Wahiria in there, and Sonny Bill and his pearls of wisdom. Is anyone in your cricket team moving up a grade? Says Lyndon. I think quite a few, maybe about 2 or 3 are going up to second grade this year at the moment, but it's still a little bit undecided because it rained on Thursday, so no one really knows what team anyone's in. Why don't they like your tyres? Or my ties? I think it's just to complain about something, really. Like, everyone will find something to complain about, so, like, I guess if someone's complaining about the ties, I must be doing all right. You know? Do you think Beauden Barrett will score a try? I think that he's got a decent chance, but I think what's happened here for the All Blacks, it's been those guys on the outside who have been getting those tries. Will Jordan, Severese, Caleb Clark, all 3 of the back 3 for New Zealand have been able to score. Possession 40% in favour of New Zealand, 60 for the Australians, 62% territory, double the time Australia have had inside of New Zealand's 22. New Zealand having to make 97 tackles compared to the 45 of Australia, and 8 penalties against New Zealand compared to the 4. Great listening from Thailand, back in the ABs. Says Ken there. And people have been in the, or Razor have been in the job 2 months. And people are throwing toys out the cot. Yep. How much time left in the half time? I would say another 5 or so minutes or so. We got there a number 1 in the world, Ireland, says Jake. And also, again, both New Zealand tries came off Wallabies' defensive laps. Wallabies not helping themselves, says JW Learning. How much time left? Oh, no, I read that one. And how's Vai doing? Sounds like Satiti is having another cracker of a game, says J-Link. He's been very impressive throughout this game, Wallace Satiti. And I mentioned about it in my preview, and I want to know the general consensus. We've seen very limited changes in terms of this All Black side, right? If Ethan Blackadder hadn't got injured, would we have even seen Wallace Satiti have any sort of decent role for the All Blacks? It just shows that that injury of Blackadder actually opened up the door for Wallace Satiti to cement himself. Taniela Tupou is a penalty magnet, says Marco there. We are good there. Is this Lyndon kid good? He got me out, so I'd say he's all right. How's Bodie going at 10? See, it's going to sound harsh, but I don't think Bowden's had the best day yet in terms of being out there on the field. Yes, he's had some all right moments. He's had some good passing, but the All Blacks backline still hasn't really functioned in the way that a lot of people thought that it would. You know, they scored 3 tries, which was a lot more than it looked like they were going to throughout that first half. Yeah, Ireland are without playing as number 1 world champions, Hamish. Says, I didn't say they were world champions. I just said they were number 1 in the world because that's what someone said in the chat. But then saying that, like, that's the way that the world rankings work. If top sides lose, other sides who haven't played go up. It's like if Ireland were to lose in the Six Nations, then they go down, other sides go above them. That's just the basic way that a ladder works. It's like any competition around the world. If you're sitting in first and you lose your game, then another side have the potential of going above. Perenara and Magic yet to show. Yeah, I think TJ's been something that's let them down a little bit throughout this game. That's how good the ABs are, or All Blacks are, to score brilliant tries. I like that. When they need to, says John. It's time they made the Bledisloe a game-by-game competition, as it once was. Says Tanya, what's happening on the field? At the moment, Israel Dag is giving us the betting update while dancing to the disco music that they are playing at Sky Stadium. But it's currently half-time. At the moment, what were the possession stats from the first half? All Blacks 40%, and then Wallabies 60%. 63% territory for Australia, or might have been 62 in fact. New Zealand only 38. Satiti has a bigger impact, less penalties against him than Blackadder, but Satiti is my option at 6, says Christo. And Wallace is a tough guy and he's young and still playing hard. Apart from being a referee, I reckon that coaching the ABs will be the next job I wouldn't want, says G-Man. I think just coaching an international side in general is a job that you wouldn't want. Like, it happens for all the top sides around the world. I know that there was a time where Jacques Naneba, whose name I still can't pronounce, but he's no longer the coach, so that's all right. But there was a time where people were begging for him to be out of that Springboks coaching box. Yeah, he went on to win them a World Cup, but only people give Rassie Erasmus credit for that, not the guy who was actually the head coach at the time. Tell Israel Dag comes to South Africa, will get good reception. Says AC and TJ is done, ship him off to wherever he's signed for. Says X, and 3 tries the All Blacks, pretty good, says Tar. And let's see how they have addressed the final 20 minutes, says Rodney, enlisting from Spain on a cruise ship, go the ABs. Says Kevin, but looking through at the benches, ladies and gentlemen, for this contest, in terms of this All Blacks bench, they've got a few decent options. So do the Wallabies, though. Patrick Tuipulotu, one of the more experienced guys that they can bring off the bench here. Damian McKenzie, people are curious. Is he going to be playing the 10 or is he going to be playing the 15 for this matchup? David Havili, one of the more surprising inclusions in this side for New Zealand. He is there at number 23. But overall, I think Anton Leonard-Brown's had a very solid game at number 12. Him and Beauden Barrett looking like they're working quite nicely together. For the Australians, Lukan Salakai-Lotto, Tate McDermott, Ben Donaldson, all names that could be popping up quite a bit throughout that last 20 minutes. Alan Alalatoa, it looked like he was going to have to make his way onto the field within the first 2 minutes of the game. But Taniela Tupou, to his credit, he got a knee injury, then he continued playing. But it's going to be very interesting to see when the subs are made, because that's something that Scott Robertson has been criticised for, waiting a little bit too long to make those important changes. Are we going to see McKenzie in there with 30 minutes to go? Are we going to see Ratama give it more than 10 minutes at the end of the game? All big questions that will soon be answered in the second half. We have got there, bring back Richie as the 10, and leave McKenzie on the bench. Says X, do you think these Springboks will win? Says Springbok fan, they should be able to fire back. Argentina making quite a few changes in their lineup, some for the better, some I think are going to hurt them a little bit. Is it just me, or does New Zealand rugby look more effective or efficient when they play like in its schools? Says Reeves. We have got their Pumas by 20. Says Jake, how did Linden get you out? It was caught behind. And Richie Moe, we missed you, bro. Says Marco, what channel are you watching from? Is it a country-specific one? So I'm watching from Sky Sport here in New Zealand, but I think NZR Plus do have this game available for certain countries in the world. I'm not too sure of what countries they are, though. Anton Leonard-Brown, Satiti, Vai, Clark all playing well, says Rodney. Yeah, it'll be interesting, like I mentioned, second half. In fact, second half of the second half. The last 20 minutes, the All Blacks have gone 5 games in a row without being able to get themselves that point. And it sounds crazy to say that. It's not just a try, it's just a point in general that they haven't been able to get. So we'll have to wait and see whether or not that is the case for this game. Did it swing? Says Kings. Probably. I would think so. It was also on a dirt track. And All Blacks line out going well, says John. And the Pumas backline too strong for the box, says Jake. And Blackadder has a waste of time, always injured, says Trajan. It is a shame, because if he didn't get injured as often as he does, I think he would have a lot more cats for the All Blacks than he has. But it's also the situation that without the injury of Blackadder, I honestly don't know whether they would have given Satiti a crack at number 6. I think that was one of those situations that, because of the Blackadder injury, they had to make a switch. And they weren't confident in Samapeni Finau. And I'll be honest, if they're not backing Finau now, they probably won't back him that much in November. How old was he? I have no idea of his age. Ethan Glass Shoulders Blackadder, says Marco, and Henry got asked to come see this kid kicking at school. When he asked he got asked, what do you think? Says Mr. Orlin. It's a TT. If he got like an extra 3 meters on his run, he cut through everyone, says Reeves. And I think the thing that breaks Satiti apart as well is that offloading game. We've seen some absolutely brilliant work from Wallace Satiti in terms of getting that next one away. It actually set up that first try of Severis, the offload from Satiti to Leonard-Brown, who went out wide and found Severis with it. Bench is solid. Havili is the only question mark, says J Link. We have got there Satiti. Have he got like an extra 3 meters? Oh no, I read that one, didn't I? Still everyone's game, I feel. I'm pretty even so far. Yeah, there's been some really good moments. Seeing there, the Wallabies just warming up in the tunnel. All Blacks conversion. We just saw the first one missed by Beauden Barrett. That is why there is a 6 points difference rather than the 8. Nah, bro, not at all. Only you are. And JP, prepare the tissues. Pumas are coming for the Bok meat. We have got there, and the chat ABs will get 3 tries in the second half, says Zion. And ITKL says, Amelia, welcome in. Hope you are doing well. I should mention, I haven't actually said it at all, I don't think, throughout the stream. But anyone who is new, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are on the road to 57,000 at the moment. So if you do want to help us get there, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We have got plenty more coming today. The URC in a couple of hours. Also going to be covering the game between South Africa and Argentina. Now getting ready to kick this one off. It will be New Zealand going from right to left. Sam Cane still looking fired up, but we are currently on 56,430, ladies and gentlemen. So if you want to help us get there to the 57, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Melina Cattell, a solid first half in terms of the amount of contact that he took. Nicely taken by Jeremy Williams off the kickoff of Beauden Barrett. Now Jake Gordon going off to the right-hand side. Lolesio rush defense from DJ Perenara. Manages to take him down. How many tackles has Kane missed? I think he's missed 2 or 3 so far throughout this first half. Beauden Barrett, in fact, no, it's going to be Will Jordan at the back, managing to claim it. He had Barrett with him, looking for him. Barrett had dropped back a little bit, but does still manage to find the hands. 40 metres out from the line now. Wallabies are having a defend. Here comes Wallace Satiti with another impressive carry. Caleb Clark, numbers on the outside. Big shot on him by Lena Cattell. Back to the right-hand side, Sam Cane. Daniela Tupou looking for the turnover, couldn't get it. Perenara goes to the short side again off to Rico Ioane. Moves into the 22 metres. Who do you think will win? I mean, I still feel like New Zealand should be able to, but Australia have played a lot better than I think a lot of people expected them to throughout this game. But now, TJ Perenara been asked not to pin him in. Wanted the penalty, and it's a knock-on from New Zealand. TJ saying, nah, TJ's just being a wanker. But 39 minutes to go. Looks like another injury for Taniela Tupou. I wasn't supposed to say that about TJ. I kind of let it slip out a little bit, but he was just lying on him, trying to get that penalty. But now, we're going to see the replay here. Taniela Tupou, he looked for the turnover. It's actually Sam Cane who managed to just stop him from getting that one, although he was dragged down forward there. Good work, man, you deserve it. Leave TJ alone, says Aaron, and sound great as usual, Hamish. And thank you for your commentary, says John. And we'll get the last try. I think it's going to be one of the guys off the bench. Can someone get Tupou off, says Jake. He's taken a lot of bumps throughout this one. No, you're right, TJ. It's just a whining little... And facts about TJ, says Brendan. But yeah, like, if you're not having the best game anyway, like, the referee's just not going to enjoy you constantly trying to tell him that he's doing his job wrong. We got a donation there. So good when we have a ref that don't worship New Zealand, says Shagger. Taniela Tupou is dramatic, always injured. Giving away penalties, says Marco. And love poor TJ, says Fluffy there as well. And TJ has passed it, definitely a man, no retirement fund, so he needs to keep playing, says Kerr. Sounds like myself, really. But, of course, Roygard, close to coming back. And Tupou already thinking about the horse sandwiches, says Jake. Yeah, Roygard was actually training with the side this week alongside Che Fiaki, which was an interesting one. Now getting ready to feed this one in for the scrum. Are you good at cricket? I wouldn't say I'm good at it. I can tolerate it in terms of, like, every once in a while I'll be all right. But now, Noel Alicio going off to Tom Wright. Little kick him behind. Sarah Reese running back, but running onto it. Here comes Will Jordan. There were a few critiques about his game in the first match, saying that he disappeared after the first 30 minutes, but he's still out there at the moment. Good morning from Las Vegas, says Willem. Welcome in. Hope you are doing well. Sam Cane passes on the outside to Leonard Brown with a good spin. And the crash ball. TJ Perenara goes across to Tupou. Now again, Perenara going to the left-hand side. Horse Shalong Helalong. There you go. Whose ball is it at the moment? The All Blacks are in possession. Perenara goes back across to Beauden Barrett. Little chipper behind. Oh, Will Jordan just couldn't quite clean it up, though. And Gordon is back there to put it into Dutch. Oh, yeah, I've got the awesome channel. Good vibes, says Deb. Likes Freddie. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. And just doesn't quite get it there. Jordan couldn't get it, but Gordon could. It almost sounds like it would be a tongue twister if you said it 5 times fast, but near the halfway line now, New Zealand have got themselves the line out. Hi, says Loot Lama. Alan Alatoa, he will now be on the field. They have decided to take Taniela Tupou off. Now overthrown, goes to Sam Cane at the back, finds Caleb Clark. Moves up to 40 metres out, wasn't held, so was able to go again before he's dragged down by Alan Alatoa. Counter ruck coming from the Australians. TJ having to get in there and get that ball back. Sam Cane looked like he was going to play halfback. Goes to the right-hand side to Wallace Satiti. It's dragged down early by Angus Bell. Probably one of the first times we haven't seen him make a metre from a carry. Bowden Barrett goes back. Running on, Anton Leonard-Brown won't get to it. Callaway manages to clean it up. It's told to get out of it, and the penalty goes against New Zealand once again. I need popcorn. This is exciting. Says Aaron. Are we going to make a bok meat of Argentina? Going to cry. Says Ali there. Good morning from Newcastle, UK. By the way, loving the tie and jacket, says Fred. Thank you very much, mate. Now, not a Lilicio. Mulsmiliaina just said that the kick was on the button, but it just didn't have any chases. Now, I would have to argue if you don't have any chases for a kick, the kick is not on the button because it's an uncontested one that Australia got straight back. Tui Pilotu played incredibly last night, says Kerr. Now throwing that one in. Nicely taken to the left-hand side. Now Valentini going in behind Callaway. Finds Tom Wright slinging it out to Dylan Peach. And stolen by Will Jordan. Has Rico, who's in front of him there. I think if New Zealand were going to get that one, it's gone dead anyway. But I think Rico ended up in front of Will Jordan, just not quite able to pace his run. And please, if any Africans are heading, or South Africans are heading to New Zealand soon, take Hamish a text. That TJ remark was great. Says Francois. Now putting it in behind Tom Wright. Just having a backtrack there. Nice bit of slide coming through. Tui Pilotu, the goat, the man. Yeah, I mean, Tui Pilotu for Glasgow anyway. Like, he is one of those things that holds their midfield together. And I mean, their backline this year is looking pretty sharp as well for Glasgow. Could be another big season. Now nicely taken. Bowden Barrett goes back across to the left-hand side to Artie Savia. Tackled by Frost. I think Jordan needs to pass that one. Says Rodney. Now Satutu, in fact, sorry, Satiti, I should say, the man who actually made the All Blacks. Goes off to TJ Perenara. Oh, he's had the ball stripped from him. TJ. A little bit of a loose carry. And now Australia have managed to get the possession back. Good game, says Trevor. Now, Australia back in position inside of their 22. I thought you meant they used to be good because Ferrari are shockingly bad, says Kerr. And that one's gone into touch. But TJ, great initial run to then just have the ball stripped as easy. Like he didn't even start with the ball there. And Andrew Callaway just takes it straight off him. Now, Cody Taylor. Had to throw this one in. Let's go, says AJWR. And now nicely slapped by the Wallabies. But there's Lomax. Knock on from TJ Perenara, though. Giving the ball back to Australia. 2 mistakes coming in 1 minute for TJ Perenara. Little grubber in behind from the Australians. Doesn't quite work out. And Sam Cane, good hustle to get that ball back. But penalised instantly for coming in off the feet from, I think it was Bowden Barrett. New Zealand just making so many errors. And that is now 10. And TJ needs off. And Dan struggling with Australia. The box was not struggling with Australia. Says Akio, although the box did struggle with New Zealand. So, it's a roundabout type of thing, isn't it? Schoolboy rugby going on there. Says Joke the Woke. And we have got there... How fast was Lyndon's bowl? I mean, it wasn't express pace, but he'll grow at some stage and probably be a bit quicker. TJ Perenara is only the team for for cultural enlightenment during the haka, that's all. Says Amako. Now, All Blacks in possession, currently 40 metres out from their line. Perenara goes back across to Reese, to Savia. Kane with the pass on the outside to Anton. Leonard Brown puts the grabber in behind. Rieko Ioane chasing after it. Really bad bounce of the ball, though, and a knock on from Paisami. Doesn't look like they've seen it, and the penalty goes the way of New Zealand. Perenara takes the quick tap. What's he doing there? He's kicked it into the ref. Interesting. Too scared to use the bench and always late. Give these guys a chance, says Richard. We have the F1 Ferrari in the middle ground. Ferrari for general public. As for guys immune to Viagra in a midlife crisis. There you go. And the wheels are falling off both teams. What the hell, TJ, says Aaron. The only reason Satiti is signing today and last week, or starting, was because of Sam Cane. When Sam Cane is gone, the young will struggle. It's only good when he goes forward. Says Morse. I would disagree. I think if you watched Super Rugby Pacific, which I don't think you did, you would have seen that his work defensively was also extremely strong for the Chiefs. He was one of the players who stood up in any moment that they needed him throughout those playoff games. And, you know, he put together about 3 or 4 man of the match performances in a row for the Chiefs for his work defensively, being the most busy tackler on the field. Like, I feel like in your argument, you could say he looks better because Kane's looking so poor throughout this game. Dude and Rico are so useless. Go do an office job and get off the ABs, a waste of space. Geez, that's harsh, isn't it? Perenara needs to stay in retirement. Now, a scrum feed again here for 30 minutes. We're going to see Tamaiti Williams warming up on the sideline. Perhaps he will get about 25 minutes at the end of this game. And we have got there, do you think the All Blacks have gotten worse over the last couple of years, or has everyone else gotten better? Says Nelly C. I think that you could say it's a combination of both. Like, at the end of the day, it is a new coach, Wallace Satiti, trying to get in that breakdown, not quite able to get that turnover. Knock on coming from Harry Wilson, Leonard Brown, the pass on the outside to Rieko Ioane. Now, Will Jordan, good low tackle made on him. Raise the substitutes now. Yeah, at the moment, it looks like it's only Tamaiti Williams who is going to be making his way on the field. Bowden Barrett goes across to Tupou Vai. And Thoreau relying on other teams doing badly. Been running on reputation for a decade. Now Reese, round the side of the breakdown, going off to Ethan de Groot, who is chopped down low. Perenara goes off to Satiti again. Tackled early by Alan Alalatoa. New Zealand have 10 minutes left to play, says JP, so they better make the most of it. Perenara going off to the right-hand side. Will Jordan pass behind Rieko Ioane. Leonard Brown now on the outside finds Cody Taylor flying down the wing. After everything these All Blacks players has done for this team, to be insulted like this, says Jerome Janssen. Now back across to the left-hand side. Bowden Barrett. Cross to Satiti. Quick hands finds Savia. Now another step. Valentini almost able to get the turnover inside ball to Lomax from Perenara. Wallace is playing like a king, says Xavier. Now Rieko Ioane, almost bent in an awkward manner by Nick Frost. They've already lost one of their centre pairing. They have a new coach. Relax with the awful comments. This is Test Rugby, not supposed to be easy, says Arlene there. Now 12 phases in. Savia trying to pierce his way through a gap. The Wallabies were able to fill it in. Wallace Satiti, another hard run. Makes a couple post-contact meters. Perenara to the right. Bowden Barrett, short ball to Sam Cane. Another offload and Ioane drops it cold. And that'll now be the scrum feed for the Wallabies. It's the Ulster match on at 12 o'clock. So he's gone, I'm not too sure about what time it is for you guys in Ireland, but for us here in New Zealand, it's kicking off in 2.5 hours' time is when that one is going to take place. Can't you put a mirror behind you, says Chris Mack. If Stan Sport and Sanzar weren't constantly looking through live streams on YouTube to see who is showing footage or audio, maybe. But because they are, you're in that situation of you can still get a copyright strike, you can still get banned, and that would not be ideal with the amount of rugby that is coming up. Sam Cane, as a South African, what a warrior, what a competitor. Salute my man. You've given us a Morse headache over the years, says Morse there. So not a big fan of Wallace Satiti, though, by the sounds of it. You prefer Sam Cane just for now. You can't pick up a ball. You play rugby 24/7 for your career. Says Xavier there, and every player in the team makes mistakes. Says Heaney. So far, we've seen 5 handling errors from both of these sides, 10 penalties against New Zealand compared to the 5 that was seen against Australia. Has the Mighty made his way out there yet? I've got bad eyesight. I think he has. To Mighty Williams. Yep, he is. He is the change that New Zealand have decided to make just now. That is going to be for Ethan de Groot. Update your time, please. It is currently 52 minutes and 7 seconds through the game, so I can't actually update it any more specifically than it currently is. Are you doing the South African game tonight? We certainly are. Now, big scrum coming from the New Zealanders. Their best of the day, you'd have to argue. Little kick in behind. Charge down TJ Perenara. Had the ball, gets it slapped out of his hands. Will Jordan, though, pins the ears back. He's going to make it difficult for the Aussie defence, but they've managed to drag him down. Tom Wright lands right on his neck. In the breakdown, Perenara back across to Barrett again. Thank you, sir, says Anthony. Now off to the left-hand side, Anton Leonard-Brown. Now short side, quick hands, Jawani near the touchline, does brilliantly to stay in the field of play, but over the ball, McWright. No, he's given away the penalty. Now to the right-hand side, Perenara, great hands from Clark to almost still have a crack at the line. Going short side, Will Jordan dragged down 1 metre out. Reese will try the pick and go, but they go back for the original penalty 5 metres out. Rays are starting to look a bit anxious. Says Nick there. A morning from the Transporter Bridge in Wales, bro. Says Andrew, welcome in, mate. Not rolling away. Penalty goes against the Australians. Hamish, it's seldom a player like Wallace. Last for years and years, go and check. We had Bobby currently. We have Russ, it's seldom. They have had a long career. Says Morse. Although you did just recently say that you didn't really think he does that much, other than when he gets to run forward. Cody Taylor now going for this line out. They will be 5 metres out from the line, turning down 3 points, which is a bold call for New Zealand because it would have given them more than a 7-point lead. Nicely taken by Satiti again in the line out. Looks like the rolling maul, it has almost gone down, so they will have to use this very soon. In fact, no. Looks like they're going to continue going. Rob Valentini would not let go of Wallace Satiti. Looked like he was spooning him on the ground. Now 5 metres out from the line. Tupou, that looks close to the turnover for the Australians, but not quite able to get it back across to Wallace Satiti. 5 metres out. In fact, now closer to 3 to Mighty Williams. Picks the ball up and manages to get the offside penalty in favour of New Zealand. Adi Savia goes across to Sam Cane, 5 metres out from the line. New Zealand still hustling to try and get over the try line. TJ Perenara with the pick and go to Mighty Williams. The big man's going to be hard to stop. The referee awards it from behind. And Williams scores the try for New Zealand. Only his second in Test Rugby. We're before the 60-minute mark, so it is still allowed for New Zealand to score. And to Mighty Williams, the man mountain, gets over the try line there and scores one for the All Blacks. But repeat infringements from the Wallabies just out from the try line. South Africa Pumas score prediction. I went 35-20 in favour of the South Africans. Now it's going to go over. Come on, New Zealand, while you're still entertaining the Aussies. Put the dagger in now and keep it in long there. Says Morse. And Mighty Williams says Rodney there. Now New Zealand, the risk of going for the 7 rather than the 3 has paid off, and they are now up by 13 in this contest. 26 points to 13. And good stuff. Though not keen on turning down 3s all the time. They don't play the percentages very well, says X. And finally would have been a penalty try anyway, says Mark. But it's going to be kicked off again by Australia. 56 minutes through. Now, that is substantial because last 20 minutes, the last 5 games, New Zealand have not scored a single point. Are we going to see a trend change here? Counter right coming from Nick Frost. Bowden Barrett will kick it from inside of his 22, looking for the touchline, and has done just that. New Zealand are held to a different standard as a result of a reputation built over so many years, says Kerr. And sub on the Panthers, says you old shagger. Any subs on yet for the ABs? Just Tamaiti Williams, the only man who has scored a try off the bench for New Zealand just at this point, and the only man, I believe, who has scored in the second half. And it's the man off the bench. But now, getting ready to throw this one in, Brandon Paianga-Mosa. That wasn't the straightest thing I've ever seen. But now, it's going to be Australia in possession. In fact, now, they've gone back for the not straight after a phase. Must have been a call from the sideline. Time to bin TJ. Give him his ovation off and bring Ratama on. Says X. Looks like Australia are getting close to using a couple more of their changes. The All Blacks, says Nathan. How much time left? Still 22.5 minutes remaining. And this contest, why is Razor not making more changes? Says TM or 2M systems. It does seem to be the trend that we've seen so far is leaving it as late as possible for those substitutes. I will mention anyone who is new, be sure to hit that subscribe button though. We are only 40 away from 65,500. So if you do want to help us out and if you are enjoying, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We've got plenty more coming today. The URC, we are covering a couple games of. Alongside that, we have also got South Africa versus Argentina taking place later on. Ratama on now, says Coleman. See the Mexican wave going around the ground. It has been 6 years and 3 months without a win in Wellington for the All Blacks. They have had 3 losses, 2 draws. Last time they managed to beat a side in Wellington was 2018 up against the French. Now, Perenara puts the ball in. Still just the one change for New Zealand in terms of their subs. Anton Leonard-Brown, flat run forward. Straight at Hunter Paisami, 40 metres out now. Here comes TJ. Thought about the offload to Satiti, but couldn't quite find it. And the penalty goes the way of New Zealand. And Tossie and Big Pat coming on soon, surely, says Jay Link. Well, I think the big question would be who would Patrick Tuipulotu go onto the field for? Because I actually think Barrett's had a pretty decent showing in this match, and Tupou has been strong just like normal. So, who knows? They might have to make a bit of a reshuffle here for New Zealand. Cortez Ratame has stood up, though, from the bench, so I would say he's not too far away from making his way on. It's going to be another line out here for the All Blacks, though. Just 22 metres out. That's going to be thrown in. Nicely taken by Tupou. They look for the rolling maul. Haven't been able to score off one as of yet. South Africa will win up against the Pumas here today. And now Cody Taylor. They've got 40 seconds before they get into the last 20-minute period of the game. Whoever's taken the kick, if they score here, may even stall it a little bit just to break that stat. But there is another advantage to New Zealand. Big run from Barrett, but he's driven backwards by Rob Valentini. Sam Cane. Tackled low by Lukan Salakaia-Loto and off his feet there for Tupou. So they will go back, I believe, for the original penalty for the All Blacks. I love to look at the penalty count. The last time I saw it, it was 10 penalties to 5 in favour of Australia. So 10 against New Zealand. Too many penalties. They've just now been warned for the Aussies. I'm just about to sneeze, ladies and gents, so I will very quickly mute. We are good. I sneezed that hard that it started lagging. Kicking it into corner for New Zealand. 10 seconds away from the 60-minute mark. And they've got a perfect opportunity to get a rolling maul try here. Australia have been warned multiple times for infringing inside of their own 22. A few more changes being made by Australia. Tate McDermott, Isaac Kailea, and Lungi Gleeson. No more changes, though, for New Zealand as of yet. So Australia have almost emptied their bench at this stage. Can you show us a little of the match? If I showed a little of the match, we will get taken down and banned for 3 months. Hamish with a quick fire nose. Says War 1, nicely claimed by Scott Barrett. And again, the All Blacks look towards that rolling maul. Can they get themselves points? Cody Taylor tries to step, but he's dragged down well in some brilliant defence by the Australians. Almost a knock on there from Sam Cane, but they've said it's gone backwards. Sevu Reece goes to Wallace Satiti. Tried to bump off Gleeson. Didn't quite work. Round the side of the breakdown, Reece. Ball is loose. Savia picks it up. Couple metres out from the line now for the All Blacks. A lot of Kiwis calling for it. By the looks of it, the big forwards, here comes Scott Barrett, couple metres out. I think this is a chance for Tupou here, although Sevu Reece, what's he doing? Round the side of the breakdown, he was close to being able to score. Perenara, does he give it a Vai? He does, he's over the line. And Tupou gets the try. And they've managed to break it. The curse that they had, not the Wellington one, but the one involving not being able to score in the final 20 minutes. Tupou does get it for the All Blacks in the 61st minute. Cody Taylor, he was close to getting it himself. Thank you very much for the donation, ladies and gentlemen. Or it was the old Shagger. In fact, who's your favourite player so far? I mean, Satiti's impressed me throughout this game in terms of being able to get them moving forward. We've seen some great moments from Caleb Clark. Hang on. They're going to check that knock on to Sam Cane, are they? Are we all good? Time is off. They're going to show a knock on from Sam Cane on the floor. Now, this is interesting because if this is more than 2 phases beforehand, the referee isn't actually allowed to look at this, or the TMO isn't actually allowed to check this. This is exactly what happened in that Rugby World Cup final as well, we've got to remember. How many phases was it? So there was a knock on the ground. It's a knock-on, don't get me wrong. And there's probably a knock-on from Sam Cane as well. But if it's more than 2 phases, the TMO does not have the ability of then going upstairs to overrule something now. That is something that they changed. It looks like the TMO that was broken in South Africa is working, says Jake. And here we go, says Rodney. So, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's not a knock-on. It definitely is. But the rules that they changed was the fact that you could only go back 2 phases before a try was scored to be able to look at something like that. Okay, they're checking to see if there's any cynical action now as well here. But it sounds like it's not going to be a try for Tupou. They want to check the try or check the cynical action of Brandon Paianga Amosa. No, it looks like it's still going to be the knock-on. They always check us, says Christo. Kitli Aronsa. And there as well, and TMO doesn't follow rules, says Stephen's uncle. And to be fair, to a TMO, it's quite a difficult one to deal with, isn't it? Knowing that if you've seen something, you aren't allowed to go back to it. Okay. Knock-on comes first. It's going to be no try for Tupou. There we go. How many phases? If that was less than the 3 phases, I do apologise, but I think it was more. But TJ now will make his way off the field. His last game in New Zealand that he will be playing. Tupou also coming from the field. Ratama, he is now out there. And Allway AB's day. DJ needs to come off, please. He already has. He just went off then. Still cursed, says JP. It does seem that way. They are still waiting to get themselves the chance to score in the last 20 minutes. No such rule. TMO can check as far back as he likes. Check a try, says Albert. Although they did bring it in, I believe it was after that World Cup because of the TMO making the mistake in that World Cup final. They mentioned that it should have only been able to go back 3 phases. They changed it now. I believe it's to 2. But now it's going to be Tate McDermott to feed that ball in. I can understand, though, for yourself, Albert, as a Springbok supporter, why you would forget that rule. Now going to the left-hand side, Noel Alessio, across to Brandon Paianga Amosa. Thank you for your service, TJ, says Matt John. And there as well, that's a nonsense rule. It is. It's really dumb that the TMO isn't allowed to look back, but it is a rule that they have got so that they don't go back 10 phases to find a knock-on. But now it's going to be the line-out good exit from Tate McDermott. And looks like, oh, is there another sub or is this a TMO decision? What are we looking for here? Okay, it is the sub of Josh Fluke. Come on, Cortez, speed it up. Says Zion, what do you think of Artie so far? He's had some decent moments, but overall, I'll be honest, like he's had a good rugby championship, but it hasn't been the best we've ever seen from Savia. But McKenzie also out there on the field now, ladies and gentlemen. So getting to link up with his two Chiefs teammates. And Wallace Satiti, big run forward. Does that rule not contradict the use of the TMO? Says Anthony. It does a little bit, but the TMO, they also were trialling some new laws recently, which involved that the TMO can actually go back for a live knock-on as long as he's... In fact, no, you're allowed to do that up to, I think it's 2 minutes. I don't know the exact rule, but it's one of the new ones. Nice run from Damien McKenzie, although it was only being trialled, and I don't think they stuck with it. Time left, still another 17 minutes remaining. Now, nice run into the 22 for New Zealand. Going back 3 phases for a knock-on makes sense. For a penalty, it should be more, says Luis. Now, Tyrell Lomax. Chopped down low from Alan Alalatoa. I called him Brandon Payanga Mosa. Commentators, a kick with names. Nice run out wide. Caleb Clark to break. Yeah, he gets there. Or does he? They probably check it as well. But it should now be the try drought in the final 20 minutes broken for the All Blacks. The second try for Caleb Clark. 64 minutes into the game. Caleb Clark, he is in an absolute blinder of a competition. We have there, this is Test Rugby, not basketball. This nonsense about speeding the game up is BS. This is not an energising exercise. The narrative that rugby puts buns on seat is BS. Says Morse there. And also we have got there, Yabi's skirt hanging out Amish. Says Albert there. I mean, I was just reiterating the rule that they had, and then you got offended by it. But going to be the try there for Caleb Clark. That will now make the score 31 points to 13. Cody Taylor will make his way from the field with that try, and that brings Asafa Moore onto the field. TMO will go back 8 phases now to find something wrong, says Stephen's uncle. And that one has gone over from Bowden Barrett. Making it 33 points to 13, a 20-point lead for New Zealand. Now, my original prediction for this game was 32-22. And we might not be a mile off that if Australia can get themselves another try here. Now, it's going to be knocked on by Australia. Nicely claimed by Sam Cane. Ratama goes across to Bowden Barrett. Thought about passing, instead runs straight into Tate McDermott. Cane goes back to McKenzie. Finds the offload to Satiti, but just knocks it on in the process. Now, Langy Gleeson. A powerful run forward. Now Brandon Payanga Amosa. Back across to Isaac Kailea. How come they only seem to go back for New Zealand's tries? Says Trajan, the most enjoyable teams to watch are the ones that can play open rugby and love the commentary, keep the good fight, work and keep fighting the good fight. Says Mark there, little cross kick coming. Callaway inside, ball to Harry Wilson. He's got pace, gets it up to Fraser McRide, and they are keeping this one alive here for the Wallabies. Brandon Payanga Mosa goes back across to Noel Alessio. Lengy Gleeson tackled and over the ball. Pasilio Tossi wins the penalty for the All Blacks. Just joined, what did I miss? Just hearing people talk about TMOs and skirt hanging out. What's going on here, says Mark. So at the moment, I mean, it's been an eventful game in terms of the pace that we have seen nowadays. It's butter chicken and or sweet sour pork combo. We have got their runner, just goes, says your old Jagger, but that one's going to be kicked into touch by Damien McKenzie. Great bit of work from Pasilio Tossi there to get that turnover. We're about to see the change though. Sam Cane going to make his way from the field. Giving a hug from Luke Jacobson and Sam Cane, the standing ovation for that man. 100 tests for the All Blacks. This will be the last time we see Sam Cane on New Zealand soil. It's been quite the career. He wasn't almost, I don't even know if he was off the field by the time the All Blacks threw that line out, but we're straight back into the action. Asafa Moore now breaking off the back and jumping forward. Now Wallace Atiti with a quick pick and go, saw that there weren't too many players there ready for that breakdown, so instead decides to take it into his own hands. David Havili tries to pass it back to McKenzie, completely misses him and kills the momentum of the play. Welcome back to the AB's jumper. Now sitting about 35 metres out from the line. A big ups for Captain Kane, and who scored the last try. Last try was scored by Caleb Clark. And it's amazing how they have a brain freeze when it comes to these things against New Zealand. Clark tries to keep that ball in the field of play, but it was just a little bit out, so it will be out on the full. Hopefully Havili replaces the water boy. There's Doctor there. The big moment for Sam Cane as he made his way off the field. Was he off by the time of Safa-Moore threw it? It was very close, but Proctor, Barrett, and Mark Talia all applauding him for what he's been able to do. We got the donation from your old Shagger. Corrupt AU pissed off World Rugby years ago. Now going off to the left-hand side, Langy Gleeson. Big carry, but Savia manages to drag him down. It looks like the old Shagger actually did it twice. He might be spamming donations, which I don't think we've had quick donations back-to-back. Kerr is one of those guys that made that a trend. I don't know if we've had spam donations of the same comment with multiple donations in a row. And salute Sam Game, bloody hell. Says Morse. Now nice run forward from Lukan Salakai Lotto. Australia in position 30 metres out from New Zealand's line. Noel Alessio goes to the short side to Jeremy Williams. Tackled early by Clark. So if ever going to learn that when you're at the top, there's only one way to go the Pumas, says TE. Out to the left-hand side again. Timo's exposed his bias, no doubt. Be promoted and given spat raise. Says Brett, nice run from Callaway. Bumps through one tackle. Manages to find the offload. Tom Wright on the outside to Lena Cattell. Australia only 10 metres out from the line now. They want one more try, if not two, before the end of this contest. If they got two converted, they would move up to 27, which would put them within the 7. Isaac Kailea gets that little bit closer over the ball. Jacobson can't quite get it. Jeremy Williams, hard carry, but driven backwards by Tui Palotu. And Dorsey, Harry Wilson, turned onto his back, got the offload up somehow, and they are still 1 metre from the line. Alan Alalatoa, tackled by Jacobson, just short. McDermott looking for his next option. They look like they're going to shift it to the left. Langy Gleeson, tackled again. They are playing advantage. I think that's against Satiti and one other man next to the breakdown who were creeping forward. The Wallabies on the verge of their try. Oh, why can't you just put the game on? Because of a thing called copyright. It would cost me a lot of money to get the rights to show it on YouTube, that is for sure. But 5 metres out from the line, Isaac Kailea, tackled by Tossi and Barrett. They've got the advantage again. That is against Basilio Tossi for not rolling, but was pretty well stuck under the breakdown. Wilson looking to use the backline. Lolesio goes off to Tom Wright, steps. McKenzie shuts him down in the middle of the field and manages to stop them. Here comes Langy Gleeson, referee having a duck under that one. Ball almost on the side of the All Blacks. Great scramble defence. Missed tackle from David Havili. Exposes a gap, but McKenzie then fills it. And they will go back again for the original penalty. Copyright equals lots of money. Says Bite there. And what's the score at the moment? It's 33-13. It sounds like New Zealand might be going to the bin very soon if they are not careful. Kane has been a hard-working 7 or 6 out of 10 kind of player. But they always have unreal depth and always had a better choice. We have got there. You making much money from these Rugby Championship streams, bro? Says War 1. I've said it all the way through. Any money that is made off the channel goes straight back into the channel. So I would probably end up paying for the subscription through to the end of the year for the streaming software that we use. So every good club sides pinging around the world. And ultimately, nobody wants them in their league. It's saddening, but that's how it is. And it's not because they beat everyone, because that is the excuse. Says Kerr. And we have got there, they chose the wrong Havili. I love from Australia, go the All Blacks. Says Clayton. And there as well. Now getting ready for this line out, Brandon Payanga Amosa. 5 metres out from the line and only 9 minutes remaining in this game. Jeremy Williams. He's had a solid game at number 5. He was one of the players who I felt didn't quite perform in the first match, swirling around for that rolling maul. and dragged down just short by Basilio Tosi. Now to the short side, and they've dropped the ball, the Australians. We have got there how much time is left. Says Jack at the moment, 9 minutes left. And what is Havili in? Says Doctor. Guys, when is Argentina and South Africa game going to start? It starts in about 6.5 hours. Somewhere around there, I believe, is when that game is going to be starting. So not too far away from the start of that contest. We have got there David Havili come on for. He came on for Rico, and then Leonard Brown has shifted to 13 in this one. Havili in to carry the kicking tee. And the time, at the moment, it is 72 minutes through this contest. Anyone who is new, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are only 11 away from 60 or 56,500, I should say. New Zealand with the 20-point lead. You like to think that it is almost secure for this contest. Currently, they have also got the bonus point, so that will give them the 5 points from this contest. Now, Ratama goes across to David Havili. Decent run from the back there, although he's a bit of a loose carry, and it's gone out the side now of the breakdown. Ratama ready to fire it back into the pocket to Damian McKenzie, who has taken his time, and he skewed it off the side of the boot there, 22 metres out from the line now. Australia are going to have the line out. We've got there, I don't really have a chip at all. It's just the fact that South Africa Rugby now a below national team doesn't really have a home. CSQ there, and Puma's going to lose or going to kill South Africa. Says Glenn. Now, big run from Fraser McRyan and a bigger shot coming from Asafo Amor. Tate McDermott goes across to Langy Gleeson. Attack and run forward, and some good physicality shown by him since making his way off the bench. McDermott goes across to Brandon Payanga Amosa. And they find their way through here. The Australians, Havili leaking more than the plumber, says Langai. Oh, it's going to be loose. Nicely claimed and almost stolen by Basilio Tosi. Yeah, the penalty goes the way of New Zealand. I was confused at that breakdown. But Basilio Tosi getting his second now. I'll route to say that to Smith. Says KK, who are we talking about? Aaron Smith? Ben Smith? Who was the other Smith? Conrad? He was refereeing the game between the Classic All Blacks and the Classic Taniwha, I believe, the other week. No one else is called Smith in this game, are they? Fun fact, is is it? Well, Khaleesi, a little bit of a homecoming, I guess you could say, for that debut. Have you considered having a countdown timer for an upcoming game? Says Bite, we have, but sadly the streaming software that I have doesn't let that happen yet. I've asked many times, could they consider adding a timer? And they go, oh, we'll think about it, and then they never do. Time for some black magic. Says Heaney there. Will Smith, Aaron Smith, says KK. It looks like Lenny Cattell making his way from the field. That is for an HIA. Ben Donaldson makes his way onto the field. Looks like he's just trying to work out where exactly he is supposed to be. AB still insisted to help him, Wayne Smith, as he taught them how to get tries in the last 20 minutes. Now that's going to be nicely thrown over the top. McKenzie, beautiful ball to Will Jordan. Now Ratama keeping the play flowing quickly. Basilio Tosi, big run forward from him. Lukan Salakai Lotto tries to rip him to the turf. Ratama goes to Savia. It seems like the All Blacks have already sped up since the sub at number 9. McKenzie goes off to Luke Jacobson. Paenga trying to get the turnover, and he gets it. Holding on penalty going against Luke Jacobson. We have got there Quagga Smith, says KK. And also we've got there notice I've said, not said South Africa are a bad side. The opposite, in fact, they're just boring to watch, says Kerr. And can New Zealand come second in the championship, says Kurt? They theoretically can. If we do see the Pumas lose to South Africa, then that would mean that they've done enough to get second place. It's going to be overthrown, nicely claimed by Lukan Salakai Lotto. Rushing up was Jacobson to put the big hit in. Havili makes the tackle on Noel Alessio. Now McDermott goes across to Isaac Kailia. Now back to the right. Harry Wilson Salah the dummy from Tom Wright goes straight through the tackle attempt of, I think it was Havili, unfortunately for him. Now back across, and that's going to be the penalty now to Australia. It's going to be a yellow card. Who's it for? I think it's Cortez Ratima or Caleb Clark. They're just asking the question. I think it's Clark who's going to end up with the yellow card. 2 tries for him in this game, but he will not get any more. What were the opening odds? Australia were $7 underdogs to go on to win this game. Do you like Bowden Barrett? Says Lennox. I think he's a very solid player, a hugely experienced veteran for New Zealand. He's had a decent showing in that first up. I feel like it was a little bit of rust, though, not playing 10 enough in recent times. How long left, everyone? At the moment, there is only another 4 minutes remaining in this contest. In fact, we're close to 3 now. Going to the front there, rolling maul for the Australians. Scott Barrett trying to shut it down, and he's done extremely well there to keep the ball in for New Zealand, and they do now get the scrum, the ABs. I want to say New Zealand have emptied their bench now. I can't think of anyone who they haven't decided to change. Clark for most yellow cards in the last 5 minutes. Says Poots there. And constant infringing by Australia, first time by New Zealand in a yellow card. And if Argentina win against South Africa, would they be tied on points? Says Glenn. So there actually is no way, I don't believe, that those two sides can be on the same. Oh, no, sorry, they can. And that is if Argentina win by 8 points, but don't receive a bonus point. Then I think they can be on the same. Or in fact, they might need to receive a bonus point, to get themselves the win. There's quite a bit that they have to go through to get the win. But no matter what, they can't have South Africa within 7. And we have got there, Yako, I said, your mother boring. Nice one. And I almost get to the end of this game, says Regine. And Dossie, big future has impact off the bench, me reckons. Says Marco there as well. Cody Taylor, Sam Cane, 2 big smiles on the face. New Zealand know that they have won this one. And now it's just the question, can they close out this game with maybe one more try? If Australia get a try, then my score prediction of 32-22 will be quite close. Look at that, up the All Blacks finally winning in Wellies Chahu. The Wallabies are like the Waz build-ups. Now feeding this one in, it will be Cortez Aratama. What other games are you covering? We are covering the Lions versus Ulster. That is kicking off in 2 hours' time. We are going to be covering the match taking place between South Africa and Argentina, and then one of the games of the URC, either Stormers versus Ospreys or Sharks versus Connacht. What's the score, please, says Jade. At the moment, the score is 33-13 with 79 minutes gone. We talk about bot game anytime. Says here today, and we have got an hour build-up for that matchup taking place between South Africa and Argentina. See y'all at 5 p.m. Says KK. That's going to be stolen by the All Blacks at line-out time. Jacobson, awkward bouncing ball, manages to eventually get it under control. No All Blacks has ever lost in his 100th Test match. That is a very fun fact. And I feel like it would have been quite upsetting if Sam Cane was the first to have that happen. But Savia dragged down by Harry Wilson. Argentina game will be late for you. That is true. It is going to be a 4 a.m. kickoff for us here in New Zealand. We got another donation from your old Shagger. Schmidt is good. We need an Aussie billionaire to come in and buy 5 of the best NRL players for the World Cup. Great channel and content. Keep it up from South Africa, says Rian. Thank you very much, mate. And we are going to be back, like I said, for those URC games involving the South African sides, as well as the match between South Africa and Argentina. But there is the siren sounding now. New Zealand, they will put it into touch, and they will win their last game of the Rugby Championship. Sam Cane going out on New Zealand soil on a high. Same with TJ Perenara. New Zealand, 33 points to 13, getting themselves the victory. Your mum rocks, says Peter there. We have got their decent performance. We building, says Jake. And also we have got their Trojan. Would Hamish want us to leave? Says Sakabola. And thanks for this commentary, pretending to work from the office and go the box. Says Stu. And there as well. We have got there. Congrats, Sam. An achievement. And thanks for the commentary. Great work, says Mark. I love your channel, says Henry. Thank you very much. And thank you, mate. Keep up the good work. From a South African abroad. Enjoy your work, says Standing Tall. And how was that a yellow card for Caleb? I believe it was just the repeat infringements that then ended up getting Caleb Clark the yellow card, plus it must have been considered cynical. I didn't actually see exactly what it was for. I think I was looking at the chat at the time of the breakdown. We have got there, South Africans don't have dummies for rugby analysis. That is reserved for Kerwin and a psychic Jeff, says Chris Schmidt there. And also we have got their good commentary. Thank you, and thanks heaps for the live commentary. And didn't Smith lose his 100 cap for South Africa though? Not a dag special if I recall, says X. Which is a long day, so pace yourself in there as well. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. We will have a post-match review of this contest in the very near future. So be sure to keep an eye out for that. And next live stream is going to be in 2 hours' time. That is going to be the Lions taking on Ulster. So be sure to keep an eye out for that one as well. Thanks, Amish, says Sakabulla. No worries at all. It was great to have you here for you to get another stream. And I'm sure we will see some of you later on for the next live stream. But thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you all for the next one.